Hello out there. Welcome back to TableTalk, discussion and discourse. I am as always, am your host, Alejo, aka Radon95.
Squeezing through the tubes of the internet to get to you. Yes,
Ugh.
you personally, dear viewer. I am your secondary host. It's Sneaky Adolf.
Ugh, I hate it. It's like
Mm.
fucking like a maggot
It's like
wriggling through the computer wires.
Ooh.
Ugh.
I was thinking more like Jason, but yeah, if you want to equate me to a maggot, that's fine too.
Disgusting green, disgusting stunties. yes. Okay, sorry. Um, yeah, it's me. I'm a Skaven. Tonight I'm a Skaven. Tonight I am Skaven.
He's
Yes.
always escaping.
I'm always Skaven. Oh, that looks fucking sweet.
So, before we go too much further, we're probably going to be referencing Warhammer 2 a bunch.
Yes.
Because
we're actively playing it like
Yeah.
right now.
Quite
Not
literally-
during the podcast, but
No.
as soon as we stop, we're going right back to it.
Yeah, every day for the past few days I've been playing it. Aiden just got it, like Boom got it a little while ago too. We've been obsessed.
Yeah, it's great.
Because it's a really good game. So
This week's sponsor is Total War Warhammer 2.
dude, I
Yes.
wish.
I know.
Creative Assembly,
Thank you,
please.
Games Workshop.
And Games Workshop as well. Yeah, both. That'd be great. Anyway, yeah. So welcome to the podcast. As always, just to remind you in the beginning here, you can find us on Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on our YouTube channel first, and then later on all major podcasting services at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mondays. So yeah. Today I have brought together a few videos because of the recent stuff that's been going on Twitter.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, some very woke people, very woke. Oh man, they're like super woke.
Dude,
Yeah.
red-pilled as fuck.
Yeah, like they have now started to equate orcs to black people. That it's not a joke. I wish it was, man. Like, you know?
Yeah.
It's really weird. And
I saw one person say, it's time to admit that Tolkien wasn't the only racist writer.
oh,
and I'm
fucking
like,
hell.
it's true. It's true. Sorry, not Tolkien, Lovecraft, rather,
Oh, yeah.
wasn't the only racist writer.
Yeah.
He's like, Tolkien was racist too, with his depictions of orcs as slant-eyed and Arab-esque. And
Yeah.
I'm like, he literally wrote against slavery, my guy.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he did wisen up
This
later
is
in his
public
life.
record.
Yeah. But in the beginning, he was quite a problem. But
Yeah, well,
he learned from it, at least.
I judge people based on the lessons they learn.
Absolutely.
You are
Absolutely, as you
allowed to
should.
change your opinion, and I will change my opinion of someone because of it.
Absolutely, and I totally agree with that. But actually, speaking of Tolkien, people were starting to say that Tolkien was something about. I think it was about the orcs as well, like Tolkien orcs, and like Tolkien has been quoted to say that he did not intend for anything to be allegorical or at all.
Mm-hmm.
He
Yeah.
just wanted to write the fucking good stories that
A
he
story.
Yeah.
did. And I'm
Well,
over here going, yeah.
And then people will go, oh, but it's the subconscious, though.
Yeah, right.
I know someone who took a psych class, so I'm basically a psychotherapist.
Exactly.
Mm.
It's so fucking stupid.
And this author said this directly, but I know what he meant.
Exactly.
Yes.
There
Yes.
is a certain.
I know his intention.
There is
Yeah.
a certain value to death of the author, but to be fair, this was as he was writing it, as he was still talking about it. Like he was like, "This is not allegorical" after it
Yeah.
came out, and it's not something like Rowling, J.K. Rowling, who goes in
Yeah.
after the fact and goes, "Everyone's gay."
Everyone's gay. Everyone's shitting in their robes.
Yep.
Magicking it away.
Yep.
Yeah, and Harry Potter's caught, or was it Harry or was it Ronald, who got caught jerking off by his mom like 16 times or something.
Probably Ron.
Probably Ron, given that Harry's mother is dead.
Yeah.
Well, it's magic. Could be a ghost mom.
Ghost mom.
I
You
would.
lock-
Jesus
you
Christ,
lock
I'm
the
giving her
doors.
ideas.
You lock
yeah.
the doors and you think you're safe, and then they float through the wall.
And they just they're just like, nope.
Oh, that would be traumatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, it's not as egregious as this, but I figured just due to people having problems, we'd look at some problems with
Mhm.
D&D 5e. And
Yes.
we're gonna be starting off with oh, you were gonna say?
Oh, I was going to say, setting aside something as sensitive or as important as racial insensitivity, we're going to look at what really matters in D&D 5e, and that's class balance.
Yes.
Well, okay, so the first video, yeah, we're gonna be looking at is by XP to level 3, and we've had this in the back burner for a long while now.
Yeah.
And this is his Wizards Are Dumb video. And I remember watching this video and immediately going, wow, that was really bad. I don't.
Oh, okay. So this isn't one of those ones where it's like it's a clickbaity title, and then it turns out that's all right.
So,
it's shit.
It's kind of clickbaity because he even admits it himself later on that he just kind of talks about something that he already talked about, and it's not even about how wizards are dumb.
Okay, that's a good start.
Yeah.
Well, let's give the man a chance to speak for himself before we speak for him.
Sure. We go.
Although we can always just claim that, oh, we know what he intended.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. It's how it
And
works.
apparently that works now.
Yeah.
See, Brazzers, I know what you're thinking. You intended to give me a free spot, a free
before we
profile.
get into the video,
Yeah.
I just want to say that I get a little hypocritical and a little subversive at the very beginning of this video. So I really recommend you watch the entire thing all the way through, because there are some things I say at the beginning that critique 5e and maybe a couple of the classes, and I don't actually mean them. They're just meant for a point later on. So yeah, okay. I just wanted to pop in to let you know that you have a good day at school today.
Okay,
son.
that's honestly a good idea to do that.
I guess, yeah. It's also
because
like,
well, the thing is, if you're gonna say
them for it, I guess.
Yeah, because if it comes off as hypocritical in the beginning, but it is intended for something that that builds up to something later, it's good that you point that out.
Yeah, being self-aware is good, I guess.
Yes.
Well, it's also like for the same reason, and this is going to be a little bit of a stretch of reasoning, but whenever you come across something that is, say you come across a quote that you really like, but oh no, something in that quote is misspelled.
Okay.
You're still supposed to supply the quote with that misspelling, and then in parentheses you just write sick, SIC. And that means like, hey, I know this is a typo, but it's not my typo.
I see.
Okay.
And such is like a similar process here of like, hey guys, I know this technically isn't correct, but like I'm using it to build a point later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
because my only thing is that because it's just that it would kind of give me the wrong impression, and then I wouldn't watch to the end. That's the thing.
That's fair.
Unless he puts it out that this is a weird opinion and it's going to be building something, as opposed to just jumping in and this is a weird opinion.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was initially thinking like, you don't have to like lead with this, and
I
then
was
I was
too.
thinking like, our literal whole purpose is that we're like critiquing videos.
Yeah.
And like, if he were like hypocritical about something he said earlier on and then later on, that's something that we would probably absolutely tear him apart for.
Yes, exactly.
So
I would also say though that you could do this in such a way that you don't do that.
Yeah, if it's obviously satirical.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. It's like a meh for me.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really detract it that much.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'll see you tomorrow. Hope you're getting good grades. Okay, let's get on to the video.
Stay hydrated.
For all the memes and complaints that I see about Dungeons & Dragons, The wizard cannot catch a break. While you can complain that counter charm is bad, or warlocks only cast Eldritch.
Now, real quick, when was this video made? Just out of curiosity.
Let me
Or is this
check.
recent or is it old?
It's older. Let me
Okay.
check here.
A little bit of a frame of reference might be helpful.
Yeah, it is. Oh, whoops. Oh god, everything's broken. That's a word. Cool. It
is a
was January 17th, 2020.
Oh, okay. So just a few months ago. Okay.
Yeah, relatively recent.
Yeah. All right.
Blast. Wizards are taken to the extreme of they can solve every problem, and that's really annoying. Especially the wizard. And that's a lot of talk for someone within fireball distance. See, I said them. Now there won't be 4,000 comments about it. See what I mean? Wizards are overpowered. Their characteristics are being smart. They have a spell for every situation. And even if you pick one of the many varying schools that are offered up in the class, there's still no reason to not take Fireball or Liamon's Tiny Hut. All of the...
I mean, roleplay, but...
Yeah,
all right.
role playing.
I would also say I do agree that I wish wizards were a little more limited again, like they used to be.
I really don't have a issue with the spells that they know. Like people are like, oh, they have a spell for every situation. If they have a spell for every fucking situation already prepared, then like you as a DM are not throwing enough unique situations at them.
No, that's true. I don't have issue with that. I think it added more kind of character to wizards back when you specialized in a school of magic. It made it so you couldn't cast magic in another school.
Mm-hmm.
That seemed really fun to me because it was like, okay, so you had to sacrifice your studies from that school in order to focus on this.
Yeah, right? if you specialize in frost, you can't cast fire.
Exactly.
Etc.
Exactly. So,
yeah. Gone are the days where you were, oh, I'm a STEM major. Oh, I'm this or I'm that. Now wizards and 5e are all general studies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they're the king of general studies.
Yeah.
They'll have like a concentration in something. They'll be like, general studies major, concentration and divination. But like, yeah, they did definitely used to be more specialized.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, to be fair, having the quote unquote subclasses be those kind of concentrations is pretty neat. What they give you, but again, it's 5e is about giving the player a lot of things and not really having many drawbacks.
Yeah.
So,
now I'm probably one of the only. Well, probably not one of the only ones. I don't know if you guys agree, but in 5e and honestly in most editions, I love how much wizards can do in all these different situations as a DM, because it's like, oh man, I can throw anything at this party and the wizard will be able to help get them through. And then they can, that's like, hey, wizard, you got a spell that'll stop this fucking blizzard? It's like, hell yeah, I do.
Yeah, no,
and then and that's fun because I can come up with whatever scenario I want and then be like, okay, party, what are you gonna do? Now, obviously, that does throw a lot of weight on the wizard, and it kind of does, but hopefully it doesn't make him the main character, if only just because he's being so useful in every situation.
I don't know. It's kind of hard to be a main character when like you're stuck on Blizzard detail or
it's
rain
true.
detail.
Yeah, I was gonna
like,
say
you're gonna be so sapped of spell slots.
Yeah, it's true.
The other thing that I would say to like a main character thing is that, I mean, that's not his part of the story, really. Everyone gets their part of the story.
Yeah, exactly.
Of whatever campaign it is. So,
and so I really like how wizards can take care of a lot of things because I can come up with ridiculous shit and ridiculous, memorable, cool, funny shit.
Yeah, and like with the variety, well, with those kinds of situations, you get the wizard to start thinking about his spells and thinking about how he can use those spells in a way that will help any situation, right? Even if it's not obvious in the very beginning, you look at, like, I don't know. Actually, there's an example that I have from Critical Role from memory, actually. Using Liamon's Tiny Hut to seal a cavern. an entrance to a
Oh.
cavern in order to keep them from getting anything to come like after them.
That's very smart.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of it. Because I was just like, oh, it's Leoman's tiny hut. You do it in this one area and you're fine. And why would you do it near an entrance? Because you want to be farther in. Oh, so it'd be interesting to see other people's minds.
Basically an unbreakable wall.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. It is the Wall of Force before you can do Wall of Force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
takes longer to
you
cast.
can fucking sleep in the Wall of Force.
Yeah, it's incredibly useful.
Yeah.
I've been in campaigns before where people used it to like block off waterfalls.
Ooh. Okay. Can you summon a layman's tiny hut with 2 doorways, like 2 entrances? Or does it always
Anyone
only have
can
one
go
entrance?
into it at like in any angle, really.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not
just
a physical hut. It's more or less just like a dome.
Yes, it is a dome.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
think of it as an egg that can be whatever color you want, and safe in it.
Okay, because I was gonna be like, yeah, you got this big fuck off waterfall, and you can see the cave behind it, but that water's coming down real hard. Layman's tiny hut, and now you have the waterfall parted, and you can just walk through it.
Yeah, absolutely. You can do that too.
Anyway,
classes in D&D have this core system where you customize and pick options for your characters. Feats, subclasses, races, invocations. The game is all about choice. But choices don't really matter if there's nothing to discern the choices. If Assassin and Arcane Trickster are identical, then what's the point in choosing? So D&D 5e tries its absolute hardest to make every choice unique and interesting.
But then what is he saying?
Yeah, then what was...
He's saying that if you have all of your subclasses be the same, what's the point of having subclasses? He's not saying that Assassin equals Arcane Trickster.
Okay. But that's not true.
Oh, I think he's like referring to how each school of magic is technically the same, I guess. Is that what he's saying?
If he's equating that to like the specializations, then okay. I
Yeah.
guess so. But they're not the same though. Because with divination you get that basically luck thing.
Yeah, you just get like the side effects of the things.
Yeah, with like abjuration you can protect people from your area of effect spells. Like there's a lot of really cool things that you can do with these specializations that you can't do in each of them. So they're not similar.
It changes your gameplay style.
Yeah.
There was a meme I saw on Reddit a few days back. And granted, I see a lot more memes about rogues and bards than I ever do about wizards.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But when it was that SpongeBob thing of like, is Mr. Krabs like saying like, I'll sell this to you, or sorry, I'll buy it from you for $5, and Patrick's like, $3, take it or leave it. And it's the big bad evil guy. Yes, natural 20. Patrick, $3, take it or leave it.
Yeah, I think that was. I think that was the episode where they were feuding with the Flying Dutchman, and he's like, "I'll give you 3 wishes." It's like, "I'll give you 9 wishes, 3, take it or leave it." It's that.
Yeah, that's right. Oh,
sorry,
man.
SpongeBob nerd here.
Yeah, no, it's
at least for that like one episode. I remember that shit because I watched that episode a lot. I loved it.
Flying Dutchman episode is really good.
Yeah,
dude. The hash slinging slasher.
I love the hash slinging slasher. Oh man,
Nosferatu.
Chocolate.
The original SpongeBob like few seasons were fucking gold.
They're platinum, dude. Don't you sell it short.
You're right.
It's fucking great. All right.
Bygone are the times of 300 feats, with not a whole lot of differences between those feats. Nigh is the time between Sentinel and Mage Slayer. They're 2 completely different things. I think this design choice is genius, because making a character in 5e makes you feel like you have limitless choices. There's so many different combinations. You could be a half-orc draconic sorcerer outlander with the tough feat, or you could be a halfling zealot barbarian who is a soldier and has the polearm mastery feat.
Yes.
Just those descriptions add so many characteristics.
Welcome
and all
to
of those characteristics.
TTRPGs.
Yeah, I know. It's like, Yeah, I mean,
Wait, what?
You
I
just
didn't
fucking-
hear that.
it's just basically just you customize your character however you want to customize your character,
Yeah.
and then they become
It's
that
like-
customized character.
But did you know that you can be a half-orc draconic sorcerer?
I did.
Yeah, right. It's so weird.
It's a very strange. Like I agree. Yeah, it's
Dude,
cool.
fucking no one told Jacob about Shadowrun.
Ah,
He'll
yeah.
fucking explode.
How it doesn't have any classes, and you just become what you want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Jesus Christ.
It's one of those things of like, yes, I understand you're pointing out that it's cool, but like I think everybody knows this if they've read the book. So and you're
And-
not trying to do it in an informative way. So what are you trying to
Yeah,
say
you're not. Yeah,
here?
like.
It's fine. It's okay.
Yeah, it's
not
fine
that-
for
Guys,
now.
It's
Guys,
not
did you know
that
that
bad.
D&D is cool?
Yeah, I did.
What?
Actually, yeah, and you know,
See, I don't.
I'll be honest, I love D&D, but you know, I also have these opinions about how it can be better.
Yeah,
Well,
the thing is,
those
I've never
opinions better be right.
played D&D. I'm an overt racist, and I only play Call of Cthulhu
Oh, right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
because I'm so racist.
Exactly, because
And I
Boy, oh
love
boy, do
I
I-
love
do I have
Lovecraft's
to-
work because of how racist it is.
that's right.
Oh
Yes.
wow, that's a soundbite.
Yeah, take that shit out of context, you motherfuckers.
Oh, fucking somebody will. I
I
can't
know.
wait. I can't. I literally can't wait until we're taken out of context.
I know.
Oh man, I want it. Anyway.
I can't wait until we're taken in context and someone's like, "Ooh."
Yeah, that would be funny. That'd be really.
Oh, you
good.
mean like flank the woman? Yeah.
No, yeah, that's also yeah. Yeah. Okay,
That's
well,
gonna be my thing.
So,
I'm gonna continue to pull my
Boy, oh
shirt
boy,
collar.
boo, do I have a Terminator-esque edition of Call of Cthulhu for you?
Oh, really?
Exactly.
Oh,
Tell me
it's
more.
good. That Terminator-esque version of Call of Cthulhu, it's gonna be super easy. Barely an inconvenience. Read.
It's so bad. It's so fucking bad. Anyway.
Yeah.
Have an effect and ability in the game. This is why I think people like making 400 backup characters for D&D 5e, because all of the different choices and combinations can be so wildly different that it becomes really, really fun just to make a character.
I mean, in general, making a character
Yeah,
is
in
fun.
general, because
I know there are people who don't like making characters, and that's totally
Oh.
fair. It's totally fair. I can understand
Yeah.
just not wanting to sit down and do all that, but like, I find it fun. Boo finds it fun.
yeah.
You know, it's cool.
Honestly, my only issue with coming up with a character is a name.
Name.
I hate naming my
Oh,
character. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
fuck, I can't think of a good name. I can think
On-
of all these cool personality traits and
Yeah.
like their backstory, what they do, how they live, but what the fuck do I call them?
Honestly, for me, it's background. Like,
Mm.
I can come up with a backstory for a character and have something really good,
Mhm.
and then when I look at the backgrounds that are listed and like what's available, none of them are what I want.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh boy, this would be really good for this upstanding paladin. Oh, what's that charlatan background? I don't know if that fits.
Right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
which is why I'm very much a fan of what do you want for skills, and let's kind of make that your background, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's figure out your custom background.
It's a
Hmm.
very 3.5-esque approach. Like,
Yeah. Where you kind of just be like, this is what this character did. And
Uh-huh.
he should probably be like, this is what this character is. Logically, he would be good at this.
yeah. It's like pick your skills, and then
Yeah.
when they pick their skills, it's like, all right, now pick like a cool bit of equipment. Oh, you don't want equipment? Start off with some extra gold.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, you don't want gold? Start off with some extra ammunition or
Yeah, like,
an extra
weapon.
weapon or something.
Maybe another language. Who knows?
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want any of that? Well, fuck you.
Well, I guess.
Well, then you're gonna lose a leg.
Oh.
Lose their hands, they mean.
Mm.
Mm.
Clearly
also
they're
why-
cheating.
Yeah.
I think people like Unearthed Arcana so much, along with the new books.
Oh,
There's new content, new choices,
What
and
did he say?
new options. Nations can be so wildly different that it
It's not
becomes
that bad,
really,
actually.
really fun just to make a character. It's also why I think people like Unearthed Arcana so much,
Okay.
along with
Yeah.
the new books. There's new content, new choices, and new options, and all this stuff that you can do to make characters and make your game more fun. It is a genius game design and an even more genius business design. Going back to Wizards.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Unearthed Arcana is cool for thinking about things that you can do, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
like homebrewing
It's
stuff
got-
is cool.
Yeah.
But
Unearthed Arcana is wonderful for fueling your idea engine,
Mhm.
but you got to be careful what you take from there because not all of it is
Yeah.
balanced.
Exactly.
Oh,
Some of it
boy.
is broken as fuck.
yeah, like
That's the only issue.
legitimately, like the subreddit r/Unearthed Arcana is way better than Unearthed Arcana official content. I'll be honest.
Yeah. And not to
Um,
mention, when I played the Artificer from Unearthed Arcana, it was really bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's not good.
it wasn't great.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, granted, they can just like make and attune items and get like bonus shit based off of like what they're attuned to.
It's true, but I don't know. It just
Well,
I never really felt like a magical item maker, user, or whatever.
it's
I
'cause
just
they
made a
took away-
gun.
They took away crafting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That was the thing.
I mean, I know Unearthed Arcana is playtest material, and so you should always treat it as such. And even wizards have been like in recent they took the mystic away because they were like so we looked over like our fucking mystic and it was trying to be like a psionic, but it's kind of too much. And
Yeah.
everybody was like, yes! And the people who liked mystics were like, no. And there was only like
Yeah.
a couple of them. So
Yeah, there were 3.
exactly. So
Yeah.
Dude, I honestly wish the Mystic could have been like what the Antiquarian is in Darkest Dungeon.
Oh, okay.
I feel that would have been really cool and a unique contribution because there's nothing that plays like an Antiquarian.
Yeah. I hear you. That'd be neat.
A wizard is the only thing that breaks this system. Yes, you get to choose your spells, and yes, you get to choose your subclass of magic that you're good at, but wizards are the only classes that can get new spells outside of the leveling system. A scroll of dark vision? 4 hours and 100 gold pieces later, and now that wizard knows dark vision. All that backstory about how your human wizard had to read runes in the darkness and went crazy because of it, but can now see the future and is a divination wizard is all
That's
completely
pretty cool.
gone because now you can just cast dark vision.
So why
It
is it
doesn't make
completely
you
gone?
less insane.
Yeah, why does that? No, that doesn't affect your
doesn't-
backstory. That doesn't reverse the past.
It doesn't invalidate the past. It's
You can also still be cripplingly afraid of the dark.
Yeah. Just
that's-
because you can see in it,
yeah.
it doesn't mean that you can't be afraid of it
quite
because you
literally-
still. Oh, sorry.
No. Go on.
Even if you can see in the dark, you still know that fucking scary things live in the
dude.
dark.
Exactly.
You can see in it, but
They can see
you
better.
You don't want to see what's out there.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was gonna say, like getting dark vision could be a step in your character's development in order for them to start conquering like their crippling fear of the dark.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Like trying to get them back on the path to sanity. Like,
Yeah, like-
Fear of the dark.
yeah. So like
It's always there.
it's very reductive to think of it as something that completely invalidates your character's reason to exist.
Yeah, like
You can make it work. I don't see why you can't just think about it and go, or even why. Okay, you're now also assuming that if we'll go with the ridiculous assumption that it totally invalidates your character's backstory. If it does, then you don't learn it.
Yeah.
Like, you have the choice. You are playing the wizard, and why would the wizard learn this if they, I don't know, just didn't... Like, if they're so afraid of the dark, why would they even entertain the thought of learning dark vision? Why would they not just learn light, or something that just makes light? Like, something like that. I don't...
Or learn to make something that, like, enchant an item to make it always give off light.
Exactly.
Plus, too, by taking the ability to do this away, you're also doing a bit of limitation on character creation too, because you can have a wizard who pursues knowledge to like almost an avaricious extent. And like greed for knowledge can be like their big downfall.
Yeah.
And you now can't do this character because they can't learn spells anymore.
Yeah, it's very
like-
weird to just I don't get that. Really don't.
I
It's a
I also typically I don't allow sorcerers to learn from scrolls typically because sorcerers like cast magic innately.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But like if you're say like a warlock and you've described your character as the kind of person who pursued knowledge to begin with and then got like a patron, even though technically you are still drawing energy from your patron, I'm totally fine with doing things like saying, yeah, you know basically the steps, but you don't have the juice of your own to like supply magic to the spell.
Yeah.
So I'll allow you to learn basically the steps of the spell from the scroll. Spent gold and time like making notes and studying it.
Yeah.
And then essentially just like channel a little bit of your patron's power and use that. And oh, look at that! You know how to use the spell now.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you have the magic in you. You just don't know how to weave it to create that spell.
Mhm.
Yeah, quite.
This is how
literally-
you can learn to do it.
Quite literally in D&D's lore. Hey, here we go. In D&D's lore, in Faerun, the font of magic is called the Weave, and I think it's Mistra. I think that's the goddess who is the goddess of magic, who helps control the weave. And basically, what wizards do is that they try to study how to control that magic. They try to tap into the weave and throw it around in different parts of reality because it's literally just reality bending.
Yeah.
And so even with a warlock, I feel like that seems fine. I would even go so far as to say the patron, if you fucking do enough shit for him, would give you the ability to do that spell.
Yeah.
You know? It's a whole thing. It could be a whole fucking quest line for yourself. You want to learn how to do this spell? You have to do favors for your patron until they deem you worthy. Right?
Granted, that's not rules as written, but
No,
it's still
absolutely
cool.
not.
No, of course not. But that's boring.
We've got
And
over
rule of
this
cool
in our-
is way more fun.
Absolutely. It's more fun, but it's also like one of those things of like I can logically see a patron, if you ask your patron and if they're a kind patron or at least benevolent enough, that they would, or if they know you want it so bad that they get you to do some very dark shit, like
Yeah.
it could be a number of different reasons, but it would be super fun to have a whole fucking arc for that character who has to go and fucking do this shit just to get access to this.
This is
Side
you guys
note,
got to do this to me. Now I'm making a list of all the characters that I got to make.
side note, and this is something that I threw up my players once.
Mhm.
One of the things that I absolutely love doing is if you have someone that you owe a favor to.
Okay.
I used this in a hag, but you could absolutely do this with the warlock and his patron.
Mhm.
The party knew that the hag was evil and that she was up to some shit and that she had killed people and children before and thought nothing of it. And the party owed her a favor, and she said, on this day and time, you're going to find a child who has just left his house. I want you to take him out to lunch or whatever you need to do, but I need you to make sure that he eats an apple from this one tree in the middle of town square. The apple's not poisonous. It's not gonna kill him, or the apple's not gonna put a curse or hex or anything like that on him. But I need you to make him eat an apple from this tree. Very, very inane sort of thing. But because of who's giving it out, they're going to be like really on guard doing it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And the reason why is she just needs that kid to eat an apple from that tree. So the kid will know, oh wow, the apples here are delicious. And like start coming back to that tree and start eating from the apples there. And because of that, she knows that she can find the kid there at certain times of day, and he's more likely to be there. And she has other people who owe her favors, and she can say, "You will find a kid in this square in 2 weeks' time. Take him and bring him to this one building." and then she can have another person that owes her a favor. You'll find a kid in a building 2 months in like 2.5 months time. I need you to kill him.
That's crazy. Yeah.
That's
I
cool.
really like that. Super cool.
And it's something that the party has now started, like this road to this child's damnation.
Right.
Mhm.
And they know that they've done something,
They don't
but
know
they
what.
don't know what,
Yeah.
and they don't know what repercussions it's going to have.
That's great. That's super cool. Yeah, there's so many things you can do with favors and patrons and all that kind of stuff. It's super cool. Fucking. So, yeah, back to your limiting of characters.
Hmm.
Woo.
Wait a second, you lying on the floor dunce. Isn't that not entirely true? Can't other classes except wizards gain spells outside the leveling system? Yes and no. Clerics can prepare spells each day. They literally get their entire list of spells and can only prepare a certain amount per day. Yeah, so can artificers, paladins, and druids.
Artificers? What?
Artificer is how he says it. I've heard it that way from him.
I've heard a few other people say it that way too.
Okay.
No.
I don't know. Artificer sounds better to me. I don't know.
It's
Anyway.
artificer.
Yeah, well, don't you know when you're delving a dungeon and you find this ancient chalice with stress-inducing wine? It's an artifact.
Oh, true.
Ah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's weird. Yeah.
Yeah,
why would you-
right?
Okay.
An artifact.
Yeah.
An artifact. An artifact.
Yeah.
And then artificial.
Yeah.
It's an artificial whatever.
Yeah. Again, it's
yeah,
weird,
right?
Artisanal wells are a thing.
Oh!
Yeah, but it means something entirely different. God damn it.
Well, then allow me to just say eat.
Or sorry,
Yeah.
artisanal cheeses and artesian wells, rather.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
That's it.
As soon as I said it, I was like, there was something wrong.
Artisan water.
Yeah.
That just sounds like they can do exactly what the wizard can do, but with less steps. Yes. And aren't there magic items that are outside the leveling system that can give you new abilities? Yes. So, if the party was going to go into a dungeon and it was going to be really dark, they could just have dark vision with only a long rest? Yes. Wait, don't wizards also have to prepare their spells? Like, they can't just have all of them. They have to only have a certain amount per day. Yes. Jacob, I feel like this is more of a problem with D&D 5e or the magic system than it has to do with wizards. Oh no.
Okay.
Yes.
So, well, okay. So, to be fair, I can understand that it's different for clerics and stuff. Like, okay, so the way that I don't know how fucking the lore is for this, but the way that I see divine magic is you are quite literally channeling the divine energy of a god, right? And your body can only handle so much of that god's power. So if you do more, and this is going to tie into another thing, if you do more, then you would probably explode or something, right?
Yeah, it's like the fucking Kaioken.
I've never actually interpreted it that way, but that's a really cool interpretation.
Thank you.
I've always figured it as spiritual brownie points.
Yeah.
Like, your god's willing to help you, but only so much.
Right.
And as you become cooler and cooler, your god's like, this is going to be a pretty good return on investment. Let's see what happens. I'll give you a bit more magic.
I can see that being the case for quite literally, like, a bunch of more neutral gods. But for like, the really, like, good or the really evil, it'd be, like, kind of like channeling that raw energy is just so fucking much. And so
yeah, because you are fallible, even if you're good.
Exactly.
Channeling literal holy divine energy through you is still kind of
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so like I see it as that, and I see again knowing how the like magic is in lore, I like the idea of the weave being just this force that isn't technically a part of the material plane, but people have been able to tap into and use to warp reality. And so it makes sense to me that that is very fucking taxing. So you can only do it that many times. And again, I don't know.
It's like that I don't know what the actual name for it is, but I know everyone's experienced it at least once in gym class where you have basically a large blanket.
Yeah.
And each section of it, like the hands on a clock, is like colored differently. You have like red and orange
the
and yellow.
parachute thing.
Yeah, and you just like stand in a circle and like you flap it up and down for no other reason than the PE teacher can't figure out anything constructive to have you guys do.
Exactly.
And the kids for some reason go wild over it.
It was fun, dude.
Yeah, that's essentially like pulling it and tugging at the strands of the weave, except the whole parachute thing weighs like a universe.
Exactly. It's a whole different reality where magic exists and you're pulling it into this one. It's like, man, that's fucking whoa, that's a lot.
There's for those of you who've played the Dishonored games and or read the Dishonored books, there is a scene in I believe it's The Corroded Man, wherein Corvo is like going around on the rooftops of Dunwall. And in the games you have like your health and your mana, and after you use your mana you drink Addermeyer solution in DS2 and
I think it's also in the first one. I mean,
no, Pietro solution.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
In DS1, and Sokolov is health, and then in this second one, S&J is health, and Addermeyer is mana. Anyway, they mentioned the fact that Corvo like blinks 3 times, like across a rooftop, down to the street, and then behind a wagon.
Right.
And how he had like a headache and was like feeling like he was about ready to faint because there was something about using magic and tapping into the power of the void that does not mix well with a human mind. And the reason why he drank Pietro's solutions or Addermeyer solution is because it naturally was meant to be something that calmed and soothed the mind.
Makes sense.
So by drinking the potions, you're not actually gaining mana. You're literally just taking a hyper strong Advil and a bit of laudanum.
Yeah.
Oh.
Exactly.
and then because of that, you're like, all right, I feel I can do things now.
Yeah.
And then you do it to a point of like, oh man, I can't. I need more, so I can.
Yeah.
But
and it's like,
oh yeah, go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say, it's one of my favorite things ever since reading that, of looking to the screen. I no longer see a mana bar; I see a headache meter. And the lower it gets, the worse my character feels.
That's so good. I love it. So and like so that's how I view the magic in D&D, and that's why I've been working on I haven't worked on it for a while, and I really should, because I say this every I think 2 months, but I've been working on a magic exertion table where because you tap into either the divine or the weave, and if you choose to, you could tap into it more past your spell slots, but there is a chance that something fucking bad could happen. You could totally die if the fucking dice roll bad enough, and it is not meant to be used lightly. It's one of those things of like, you think of like in stories where you get to the heroes are fighting the big bad, right? And the big bad is winning to such a degree, and like if only they had this power to actually kind of turn the tide and maybe win the battle.
Oh, yeah.
And so the cleric summons all the energy he can from praying to his god, and then exudes a magical energy that just explodes his body as he turns into just divine light, unleashing a cure-all across everyone and getting them up to strength so they can continue fighting. But he's gone,
burning himself to a crisp.
he's gone to the plane of light, like he's just gone. But he did that noble sacrifice that will be retold time and time again in the future. And having something like that be something that you can do, or something that completely takes away your use of magic. Just, you cannot wield it anymore. You did this one thing, and you saved everyone, but you can never touch magic again. And hey, that could drive your character insane. But, like, it's a thing. It gives so much character growth that I feel like it's one of those risk versus reward things that would be super cool to have. And that's why I was working on it.
Especially too, because like there's so much potential you could do. You could have like wounds that open on the body along the shape of magical like sigils.
Oh yeah.
Or like runes where they cast something and then they notice that their like armpit is bleeding and they're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And they like peel it off and there's like a circular rune with writing inside it describing the spell that they just cast.
Yeah.
And that's now a permanent scar on their body. You could do something like and it was my knee-jerk reaction when you mentioned this, but say you have a wizard that is trying to like use a fireball or something.
Right.
But because they're like tapping into things, they're no longer accessing the weave correctly.
Right, yeah.
And they could accidentally like summon a Nalfishni by mistake.
Exactly, yeah. Absolutely. Ooh. That was one of my ideas actually that I've written down. Summon something like that you did not intend to.
Like a small hole appears and all of a sudden you see like a pig arm like reach out of it and then rip the portal open and step through.
Man, that fucking Nalfishni was just staring at the wall. Where's that portal gonna open?
But like legitimately
just tapping his foot.
it adds something to like the story and like what your characters can go through if they choose to like tempt fate. Right?
And abuse magic.
And abuse it, yeah. Especially if they abuse it. Oh man, you're asking for it.
You could do like, oh dude, you could do cool things where like they're all scarred from like extra spells that they've used.
Yeah.
And NPCs see them and recognize what happens and they're like, oh no, you are not coming in the city.
Exactly.
Yeah, because then, oh god damn it, I could have sworn that there was a story. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. I don't remember the name, but I remember that there was either a game or a book or a movie or something where there were like rogue wizards who did that kind of shit and they were like outlawed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Because
someone like casting nukes on the reg and to the point where they are getting messed up from it, you do not want that person in your city.
Yeah, and so you could have the player, like if they choose to do that, then they become like ostracized because everybody can tell at a glance at how dangerous they could be.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you can't come in here because we can see your fucking track record right on your face.
Exactly. Yeah. Like that's why I really want to work on that. I've been meaning to run it by you guys.
I will help you with that. Gladly.
I've been meaning to run it by
like
you guys
rules for that.
Yeah, I have some things like some ideas and stuff written down over there.
And then if your ink devil summons something too big, you just splatter ink all over your vest.
Yeah, exactly.
God damn it!
But like,
not again.
Just immediately, what I'm thinking of is roll a D4, and depending upon what you're casting. Like if it's a first level spell, it's 1. If it's a second level spell, it's 2. And if it's a third, it's like 3. And then for like 4th and onward, basically, you're guaranteed to have side effects.
Yeah, totally. Like we'll have to discuss it later. But I originally was bringing this up because the point that he made of how wizards are like worse spellcasters, I guess, in a way from the other ones who have to do the same kind of things without the additional steps of having to go out and learn their spells. It makes sense to me that the guy who needs to learn the spells is the guy who has the book.
Yeah,
quite literally the studier of magic, and if he needs to go out and do that, and the fact that he has only a few spell slots to do all of these things is because of, like I said, the weave and being not able to control that much magic yet. And even when you get to be a master of it, it gets easier. It definitely gets
Mhm.
easier, and I think in fact it gives you, when you get like 20th level, you can just get spell slots back just on the reg.
Mhm.
I think, I don't remember.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't remember either.
Second level and below, I believe.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so you just, and plus Arcane Recovery is a thing where you just like for an hour you can just get a spell slot back. That's
Yeah.
a thing. But legitimately, I feel like it works for the wizard, and it also doesn't feel broken or unbalanced either
Yeah,
way.
because when you start thinking of the other classes, the wizard is the one who acquires his magic through careful study
Mhm.
and long hours of concentration and practice. The cleric gets it because he has a god giving him magic. The
Yeah.
warlock gets it because he has a patron giving him magic.
Yes.
And the sorcerer gets it because he was born with magic.
And he's so
Mhm.
limited because he only gets a little bit of spells that he can.
Yeah, and so even from a class design lore-wise, it makes sense.
And like,
Which also, by the way, fuck, Harry Potter is not a wizard. Harry Potter is a sorcerer.
yes, absolutely. And the other thing that I would say is like artificers also get the ability to learn, well, ability to learn different spells now.
Mhm.
I don't think
Well,
so.
Yeah, they do.
they learn how to inject spells into things,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think they can learn
or
spells
at the very
from.
least, spell-like effects.
Yeah,
They do have some spells, yes. They don't
Yeah.
get very high,
No,
but
I
they
know.
do have spells.
I think
I'm-
I also are able to learn spells though from like wizards. I think
Yeah,
that
very
is a
minor
thing.
spells.
They
Yeah, I
learn
mean,
from the wizard spell list, which
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it again makes sense because they're another intelligence caster, and so it's a lot of
Exactly.
learning and tinkering and shit.
Exactly.
it makes sense too lore-wise because sorcerers aren't writing libraries about how to write spells. Warlocks certainly aren't.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Clerics maybe a bit.
Yeah, they would write
but,
books
like-
for their clergy,
Yeah, they
but that's
study
pretty
the
much it.
scriptures.
But if you're learning how to make a thunderstone,
Yeah.
there is no better place to go than the Mages Guild.
Exactly.
Or to sell it on City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I don't see what's the problem with the magic system in this case. I
Yeah.
don't see the problem if there is one. Like it's quite literally the same magic system that's always been, and I don't think that it's ever been that much of an issue.
Because I think at this point, after all this discussion and discourse,
Wait.
I feel at this point he has
To be
more
fair,
of
there's been no discourse.
Yeah,
It's
it's true.
true.
It's just discussion.
But
You're right.
Anyway,
words matter. Fuck you.
Yeah, I think at this point, it seems more like he has an issue with the magic system in terms of rules and less about logic and role play
Maybe.
reasons.
Yeah,
That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, we should probably check in, see what he's
Yeah.
actually got to say.
You've discovered the point to the entire video. Get to your damn point already. D&D 5e is a system that is made and built to make your players feel really, really awesome. Limitations are lessened, races don't have negatives, feats don't have prerequisites.
I mean, some have some prerequisites, but it's not
Most, in
like
fact.
super.
Yeah, I was gonna say they.
Yeah, it's mostly like the armor and the weapon ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like you can't have medium armor mastery without
it's
like
even
light
right here.
armor.
Yes, feats have prerequisites, though they are more limited to your racer stats compared to 3.5 Pathfinder or 4e
Yeah.
feats. What 4e? What the fuck's that?
What the hell is 4e?
Yeah,
You'll see.
3.5
one that I
is
played.
definitely way more restrictive on
Yes. Oh, yeah.
feats, and I don't think anyone's here to say
No,
otherwise.
and
Yeah.
I think it's honestly cool to have so that you know what you want to spec into. So
Yeah,
it does take you to be a wizard it makes you a wizard because you have to start studying the feats and know exactly what you need to get.
Yeah.
So, but still.
Crazy.
Diseases don't really affect adventurers so long
Yeah.
as there's a paladin, cleric, druid, or monk in their party. And with the system being so
Wait,
giving,
Monk?
Yeah, wait, monk? Wait.
I imagine they probably just punch you in the kidney and you just vomit out the disease.
There might be something that a monk can do.
Maybe
I'm
in
not
UA.
familiar.
But
There's
I
probably a fucking unearthed arcana monk that can do some healing.
Yeah, that's why I said maybe UA.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't hear you. Yeah. Okay. Maybe.
Timeless body,
Or in Xanathars or something. It's been a long. I've never actually made a monk.
No, Kinsei and Drunken Master are in Xanathars, and they don't do.
Okay.
And I'm thinking Open Hand, maybe. I doubt it.
That's a book I need to get. I need to get Xanathars.
Yeah, I have it. It's a nice book. I like it
Yeah.
a lot.
Although we're not really playing 5e, so I don't really need it right now.
I know, but it's still just one of those things.
It's good to have.
Yeah.
It, on the other side of the coin, makes Dungeon Masters look really evil, mean, and destructive for just giving players negatives or limitations. You ever played a D&D game where you were in an easy or should have been balanced fight, but it was almost a complete TPK, or maybe it was a TPK, because all the players that they could conquer the world because all of their abilities allow them to do so many things, but they weren't necessarily useful because the bad guys just had ways to go counter them?
Remind yourselves that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
Yeah, I was gonna say in response to that point, I've nearly wiped a couple of people. Yes, this has been a thing.
Yeah, you have, because they
Yeah.
didn't know how to fight a hungry.
Yeah, well that
And
that
we also we were not
werewolf.
prepared to fight a werewolf.
Right, yeah.
I lived though.
I know. Like
Hey, I
again.
lived.
Yeah, you also live. Like the fact that it was a CR3, and I was like, okay. So, but it also doesn't tell you, but it's CR3 when they have magical stuff. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But again,
And then fucking Brogan bitched out.
right? But like again,
that's a whole other thing.
again, like it still made it cool.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it was
and
fine.
I don't think it made me look evil, did it?
No.
No.
Made you look diabolical. No.
At the end of that, the only character who I wanted to die was Brogan's.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I think so.
It's
so
what my
assuming-
character would do.
Yeah. Well,
Fucking don't
Assuming-
make those characters.
I know. Fuck me.
assuming that you think that you are somehow looked at as evil or diabolical or any of those negatives just for putting in limitations is a very strange thought.
Yeah.
Because limitations can give your characters some kind of growth in another way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, the wizard
That-
can't break through that door. Barbarian, get in here.
Well,
Here,
there's
I'll
also,
buff you.
there's also that whole thing of like a limitation means that you find somebody in your party who makes up for that.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Or you find
And then they
somebody
feel
you can
valuable.
double down
They feel
with.
useful.
yeah, it's not all about that. I'm in fact 100% against that limitation. Like fucking literally, if you put in limitations, you feel like it makes you evil. No. I think it just makes people who think that you're evil, because that's
Yeah.
fucking stupid to think.
And then here's the thing. If people think that you giving them limitations makes you evil, they don't seem like they're right yet. Because D&D is it is not supposed to be easy. Not supposed to be. In the beginning,
It's
yes.
supposed to be at least a fun challenge. It is,
Yes.
in all essence, a game.
Yes.
I actually disagree with a few of Boo's points.
Okay.
Oh.
Firstly, the beginning is the hardest level of D&D. Like,
It's true.
good God, you will never find me more scared of rats than levels 1 and 2.
Yes.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Secondly, I would say if someone is unhappy with limitations being put on their characters, there's a whole list of reasons that they can feel that way without disregarding them as not ready for D&D.
Oh no, I'm like they can be upset with it, but if they think that you're evil because of that, that's the thing.
Honestly,
Because that's what he said.
Yeah.
Well, granted, I think we can also take his interpretation as perhaps hyperbole for the case of a point.
It's true.
Could. But I don't know if I would say that if in the case that you can take it the other way as well, you haven't made your point very clear.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
unfortunate.
What was I gonna say? But yeah, I do know some people who would be upset at a DM for taking things away from them, especially if they say to the DM, "Hello, Mr. DM man, I would like to be a fighter. They seem really cool."
Hmm.
And Mr. DM man says, "Okay, scratch off this, and this." Fighters are really good. Most classes in my campaigns, I've actually nerfed all of them.
Oh.
Have fun.
Okay, so in
Hmm.
that case, then there should have been a session 0 so that he's explained how his fighters are different.
In
Mhm.
which case, this conversation can still take place at a session 0.
Okay,
Yeah.
well then the second thing that I would say is that does seem then you, as the player, you start asking the reasoning.
Yeah.
And if you don't agree with the reasoning, you start having a discussion whether or not it is actually legitimate. And if it devolves to something like, I just want it to be this way, not devolves. If it boils down to, I just want it to be this way because I don't think that fighters should have this, and this, then you can reach an understanding that way, or you could potentially change it, or if they're being
Or
a dick
agree to
about it.
disagree and then
Yeah,
not
Yeah.
play in their campaign.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot
Um,
of things outside of the, like, that I feel like it's not being a dick, or being
Yes.
evil, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Still.
So, yeah. But you can also understand how someone may misguidedly, admittedly,
Mm.
think that it is.
Then
Because you then have someone going on r/RPG horror stories,
Mm.
and my DM ruined my campaign. He didn't like me playing my class because he didn't like the fact that fighters can second wind. And he had a completely homebrew system for how everyone leveled up, yada yada yada.
Yeah. It's
yeah,
Um,
true.
and again, that's very misguided, I would say.
Yeah.
oh
Is
yeah, no, it is.
so
Um,
again, that is an extreme example, I would say.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think the main thing that I probably worded my argument wrong. I think the main thing that I was trying to get across is that, at least the way he described it, and the way he was talking, he said that, oh, this race has this limitation, this feat has this prerequisite, and yada yada yada.
Mhm.
That all sounds like it's something that would come up in character creation. So, like, oh, I want to make and we'll say that this is the version where they have like negatives. I want to make a halfling fighter, and then be like, okay, you can make the halfling fighter, but you're going to have lower strength.
Yeah.
And then they're like, what?
What
That's
do
a
you- what-
limitation on my character. You're evil.
Yeah.
That's what I thought he was getting across.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was like, that is the only reason why I was saying, if you think that way, like if you think your halfling
Mhm.
should have the same strength as a
Yeah.
Goliath,
Why
then
can't I have great weapon master?
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, in that case, just point them to the halfling or gnome character page and be like,
Yeah.
they are small. Now go to size modifiers, you imbecile.
Yeah,
Exactly. So in that case, you're not being evil, and they just don't seem like they're ready for that kind of
Yeah.
that level of thought where it's like, okay, I'm playing as a small guy. That means I'm
Yeah.
probably weaker than everybody else.
and
Yeah.
and again, like, if the only time where I can see somebody calling somebody else evil is if they're being, one, childish, two, the DM
Yeah.
is being more just childish and doing
And
things
targeting that player.
exactly, something like that,
Yeah.
or anything that is an extreme. I don't think the average person is going to say, "Oh, you took away a little bit of the power of this thing, you're evil."
Yeah.
Yeah. No, like people. And the reason why I say that he's being hyperbolic for
Mhm.
the um just making a case
Hmm.
is that people don't call other people evil generally.
Generally,
It's true.
And as such, when he said like, "Oh, people are gonna think you're being an evil DM," um, for me that evokes more images of classic like 1990s D&D DM versus the player mentality.
I guess
Yeah.
so. But at the same time, I feel like that kind of mentality is basically at
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
Hopefully.
It's not all gone, but
It's not all gone.
fortunately
That's why I said basically. It's not entirely gone. There's still people that are like that, and that's why
Mhm.
some videos are the way they are. But I also feel like it's not that great to frame that then, because you're also, for the people who can misconstrue it and go, oh, limitations, evil. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just using this to make your point just doesn't feel like a good way to do it. I feel like
Oh,
it needs
no,
to be
yeah.
done better.
Yeah, I don't think that it's how to put this. It does not have the sense of second draft.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he even admits that in one of the other ones where he's lying on the floor, that he just kind of
That's
does
most.
what
He has a lot of
I
videos
know.
where he's lying on the
I
floor.
know,
It's kind of
but
his thing for a year.
Yeah. Legitimately, I think he just does these as rambles and then puts them together and doesn't have a script at all. These are just
Yeah.
thoughts, which is fine. That's totally fine. Make videos like that. That's what we do. We don't have scripts, but
Yeah.
don't hear my rustling of papers.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
No
come on.
script.
Get the fuck. Yeah. So, but at the same time, you can frame it in such a way, or you could, I don't know, put in little disclaimers like you did in the beginning to like reframe what it's like, and like actually like put in thoughts later when you're editing to make it actually make more sense.
Hey
and
Alejo,
not be
what
that-
page are we on again?
We're on page 4.
Thanks.
Anyway,
Okay. Yeah, Boo, you're up.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Lines,
what-
everyone.
Line.
Fucking-
But
Alright.
what's my motivation?
Yeah.
All right, let's continue.
What's my motivation? Raid Shadow Legends is my motivation.
no!
Do tell, Boo. I've heard
No,
that that's the
no.
#1 rated RPG in the App Store.
We're continuing the video now.
Have you ever played a D&D game that's on the opposite side of that, where it's supposed to be this really hard encounter and the players just absolutely destroy it because their abilities are so powerful that it's like, what was the point of doing this? D&D 5e is a system that is made to make your players feel really, really awesome.
Okay, so before we get too far from the other point there in every edition that I've played, there are encounters that go exactly as he said.
Yeah.
Not just 5e, where everybody's either really fucking good or everything goes really fucking wrong.
Yeah, sometimes you fucking roll fire. Sometimes you roll like dog shit.
It's
which
like
is
Brogan
usually
every-
Brogan.
It's like Brogan every time we play. He
Yep,
doesn't roll
unless
well.
he gets a useless crit.
Yeah. Exactly. So like, and I've seen this time and time again in like I said, every fucking edition. So this isn't new. It's not exclusive to this system.
Yeah,
So
I think it's just because players get more juiced in 5e.
I
Remember
agree.
when we were first introduced to 5e and the tagline that Miles used all the time, which was "Everyone's a superhero."
Yes. Yep.
wait, in 5e, everyone's a superhero?
Yeah.
I think
You've never
also-
played 4th edition.
No, that was for 4e that he was.
Yeah,
talking
that's for
about.
4th edition.
No.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Because
sure.
you get
I'm-
like thousands and thousands of hit points in that. It's
I mean,
ridiculous.
what edition?
Yeah. I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
one edition.
I've
Huh?
never heard of this 4e.
Yeah.
Mm.
But
Are you trying to say 40? What?
Oh,
I've heard of triple E, like
Mm.
Eastern Equine Encephalitis. But
Mm.
And
E3?
So.
Hmm.
Oh,
yeah, that's dead.
But-
that is.
Yeah,
gone.
Bethesda's fucking crucifixion grounds, yes.
Oh well, that's why they have their own place now.
Do they actually?
It's why they pulled their games off of Steam and have the Bethsoft launcher now.
That's a thing now.
Oh yeah, it's the only way to get Fallout 76.
No, wrong. They have
No,
76
it's
on Steam
it's
now.
Steam. It's on Steam.
Oh, they must have moved it onto Steam then.
It was
Yeah, they
rather
did.
recent. Yeah,
It was
rather
very recent.
Okay, yeah, it was like.
So
what,
now you can finally buy Fallout 76. 'cause I know you want it.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's moving on.
Yeah.
So in turn with this design, which is fine, Magic has this quality of being able to solve almost every problem. Wanna be safe? Layman's Tiny Hut. Want to get away from danger? Misty Step. Want to do damage? Fireball. Want to be safe,
Strike.
out
I
of
mean,
danger, and do
Fireball.
damage? Steel Wind Strike. It just so happens that wizards have this kind of free-form magic system where they can kind of put things in whenever they want, and they don't have to conform to their subclass like all the other classes do.
I would raise you fighter on that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So conforming to, yeah, a
Or
fighter
hell,
can become
barbarian.
fighter can become a lot of things.
Yeah.
So first off, magic being used to solve every situation. That's what magic do.
Yeah, that's the whole point of magic.
I feel like if you don't like if you have magic and it makes things easier, you're gonna use the magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what is that bad? I don't.
Yes.
So.
I'll be honest. I understand from a balance perspective that wizards having an answer to every question can be problematic.
Hmm.
However, speaking personally as a DM, there is nothing I love more than when players think really creatively about the questions and the problems that you pose them.
Yeah.
Um, and if they use magic every time to get out of it, okay, it means they're thinking creatively about their magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I ever get sick of them dealing with that, I have like numerous ways to get around them having magic.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
quite literally no magic fields that exists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so I just kind of take issue with the fact that he keeps saying, or he's keeps harping on magic. I don't understand, like, is it not also possible for the paladin or the cleric to use their magic in such a way that solves every situation?
Yeah.
Is
Dude, I had my group of players literally avoid public execution by some werewolves
yeah.
because the paladin was able to cure a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Um,
It just depends on the creativity of the people that are wielding the magic.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be the wizard who's doing it, and I understand the fact of like he's just harping on the fact that you can just learn more spells and just keep putting them in the book. But again, you have to go through that process. And
Yeah.
that takes time, money.
Not to mention, it actually takes access to the spells that they're trying to learn.
Yeah.
If you don't want them to learn something that they would have to learn from a scroll or a book, just don't have that scroll or book appear.
mhm.
There's
It's as simple as that.
There's also
Yeah.
like
I can't have my wizard learn dark vision. Why? Or sorry, I can't have that player learn dark vision.
Let's go ahead and hand him this scroll that gives him dark vision and just hope he doesn't learn it.
Let's hand it to them on a golden platter.
It's like,
it's one of
and
those,
then the note, don't learn this.
Right. It's one of those things.
Don't read.
It's also the responsibility of the DM to know your players and know the characters. Because then you can actually craft the situations in which they get what you want them to get, and they don't get what they wouldn't get.
Yeah,
like the
it's
dark vision
really
thing.
easy.
Better yet, start throwing them like even cooler, like off the wall magic items. Like
right.
At first, they think it's a scroll of dark vision, and as far as they can tell, it's a scroll of allowing you to be able to see everything that's in the dark. And then the mad mage gets it and learns it, and then turns out it's actually like true dark vision, and they're in the dark and they can see perfectly fine in the dark out to like 60 feet, but the world is filled with like eldritch horrors.
Yeah, you could make it spin.
Driving them even more insane.
Yeah.
You could have it be a cool little spin thing, but I also know. So he also brings up the point of there being magic items in the game which you can just give to people, and you give them basically spells and abilities that just take away spells and stuff.
As I have already.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
And like it's fun. Like you've thought about this. You've tailored those to be for our characters.
Yes.
And I don't see why somebody else couldn't do the same thing. It's like he's looking at a book and just seeing all the possibilities and then going, they're all there all the time.
Yeah.
Right? It's
And
like
here's another thing you could do.
Yeah.
If you have such an issue with the magic system, have it a low magic setting.
There's also that.
Yeah. And then just be like, okay, in this low magic setting, there is not enough power to cast this, and anything past this.
Sure, if you want to do it like that. Or you just go, magic is extremely hard to find, like,
Yeah.
4 scrolls of it. You, as the
Mhm.
wizard, when you level, you get another spell, but that's because you've been crafting that spell, you've been trying to figure out how it would work, how to weave the magic to make that effect, right?
Yeah.
But it's just so much harder to find scrolls that actually have an ancient scrolls. Man, if you go on a quest into a ruin to go find an ancient scroll and you find
Mhm.
that shit, that is some fucking value right there, because
Yeah,
it's,
that's like fucking. Yeah.
it's one of those things of like you can just control the setting.
You
Wanna-
control everything. What, like. And don't you want the players to win?
A favorite hypothetical subversion of expectations for me,
Uh-huh.
and I've never done it.
Yeah.
Because it's a dick move.
Right.
Have the players explore an ancient ruin, and they find a scroll at the center of like a ziggurat in a cave or something, and they're like, "Hell yeah, dude!" And it's like a scroll of light.
Yeah.
And they're like, why the fuck it has all of this been to protect this one scroll of light? Light's such a basic bitch spell. And it's like, well, yes, but back when this temple was constructed, like any magic at all was seen as pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
But like
totally.
over the past thousands of years, advancements in magic as a form of applied technology has resulted in the ancient ruins maybe have a scroll of firebolt as its sacred treasure.
Oh my god, I would love doing that.
That's
Shit.
that's such a shitty thing to do. I love it. It's one of those things where they just go, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Oh yeah.
And then you go and you look and you just have this giant smile on your face and you're like, "Uh-huh."
Yeah, we dodged poison dart traps. Well, actually, they were just dart traps. The poison on them dried up years ago.
Unless it was poison arrow frog poison, because then that shit lasts a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like again, it's very like I understand. There are many possibilities that you can put into your campaign if you're DMing it. As a player, if you read the books, you also know about this kind of stuff, and you're like, oh, okay, I could just get that, I guess. But then you have to realize you might not ever see something like that. You might not ever see your Ring of Water Walk or anything like a fucking Cloak of the Bat or any, like, you might not ever see a single magic item if the DM doesn't want you to.
Mhm.
Like, you just get to use the spells that are given to you, and then if you want to learn new ones, the DM has these prepared things in the shop of scrolls that you might, or maybe doesn't have the prepared and just like looks at them and goes, okay, they'd have this.
Yeah.
Like what I do. But
Yeah, me
it's one
too.
of those things of like you have what you're given and you just work with it, and if you're the DM, you go, you have what you're given and you just work with it.
What do you what do you mean there was nothing in the fucking glass case at the Hellion Hangout and I was just bullshitting my way through that? What do you mean? No, he always had that. I totally
Exactly.
prepared it all.
Yeah, that spyglass, whatever, dude.
No, not that. The fucking amulet of cat.
Oh,
Amulet of
that's right.
cats.
Yeah,
that was always there.
Yeah, no, exactly. So like,
I saw that and I was like, why would this be in an arcade? And then I was like, oh right, because we have to find a cat.
Yeah.
So some devils like to talk with their cats.
Exactly.
What?
I'm sorry, are you buying cat collars at the Dave and Buster's?
But
You can buy collars there, but they're not for cats.
So yeah, I just this whole, I don't understand what's so wrong with this system if you can just have it work for however you want it to work.
Yeah, there's like
It seems to be an issue wherein Jacob recognizes there's a problem while doing everything he can to feed that problem and being like, guys, look,
Yes.
there's a problem.
There's a problem that I keep making bigger and I don't know how to stop.
see here's the
Guys, I keep adding twigs to the campfire and there's a fire in the forest.
Yeah.
I think like what I'm getting from this now that we've like the more we talk about this, the image that I'm getting in my head is you walk up to a pile of boards and you have a hammer and nails and you're complaining that it's not a wall without actually building the wall. That's the image that I'm getting here.
He's complaining that the image in the guidebook shows like a very nice like marble wall with like Greek style pillars.
Yeah.
And he has like a few rocks and like chisel in front of him. and he's going
false advertising.
It's a strange thing to have issue with when you fix it very easily.
Yeah.
I mean, you are the DM.
Yeah, there is no issue here.
He quite literally has a second channel where he does D&D with friends. Like, it's a thing.
Clerics have their domains, and they get certain spells, but they can't prepare other ones. Druids have their circles. Paladins already just have limited spells. You don't have to be an only evocation wizard if you're an evocation wizard. Coincidentally, this is also why I hate mystics. And this isn't the wizard's fault. It's not even wizard's fault. The wizard is a really fun and interesting class to play, and has a lot of options and can make for really fun and exciting adventures. There's nothing wrong with the class. I don't dislike the class. So what do we do about this problem? What's the solution?
Sorry, what was...
I'm still unclear on what the problem
Yeah,
was.
exactly. I was just about to say, what's the fucking problem?
Yeah, there is no problem.
You
He's
like...
just making a video.
I know. It's like you like it, and you think it works, and you don't think it's anybody's fault, so where's the problem?
Yeah, there isn't one.
Guys! People are having fun.
Oh.
Well, how do we fix this problem?
How do we fix it?
We just take it away.
Yeah, no.
If wizards are your...
Go on.
I'd like to see wizards become more specialized.
I would as well, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I want to see pyromancers become their own class.
Yeah, like pyromancers are a subclass for sorcerer now.
Yeah,
5e. So
after you're playing Divinity, that's what you were gonna say, wasn't it?
No, Dark Souls.
Oh, damn it.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because Dark Souls has got a ton of really cool approaches to pyromancy in general.
Yeah.
One of which actually the spell Warmth, which is like a glowing ball of light that you conjure, and it heals people that are within like a certain region of it.
Oh, cool.
And like you can think of it as you're summoning a ball of flame and putting it there to float, and that flame helps stoke other people's like internal flames, and as such promotes regeneration.
That's neat.
You can do there's one of the spells where like you summon a ball of fire in your hand and like you crush it into your chest, and you're basically stoking your own internal flame into overdrive.
Cool.
And you do a lot more damage when like you swing your sword, but you're taking a constant dot because you're burning yourself up. And I'd really like to see a very high risk, high reward pyromancer. It's been something I've been kicking around in my head for a while, because most pyromancers you find online are like, edgy, they use flame whips.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should...
I want to see a gambler mage that,
yeah,
like, oh boy, I can pull off some cool stuff, but like, if the enemy doesn't kill me, I'll probably kill me.
Yeah, exactly. That would be, it would be cool. I feel like instead of making something like the war mage, where it's like, what do you get from being a war mage? Oh, you get proficiency with armor and weapons.
You become a muscle wizard.
No, you just get proficiency with armors and weapons. No punch. just on more
Oh.
weapons and stuff, and like I don't remember what else it gives because I just didn't care.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, oh, okay, so I just become a fighter wizard, but hey, I could go
Yeah.
be a fighter wizard
Yeah.
as a fucking Eldritch Knight. Okay.
Yeah. So what
Right.
the fuck?
It's one of those things of like, okay.
Yeah.
And the fact that we have no kind of way to like I said, limitations can make you kind of grow in a different way, and the fact that we have nothing really that limits us to be creative, like we have to take what they've given us to make different classes because of our own ideas because they don't have them. But
Yeah.
what I mean is like in the actual system itself, the limitations aren't there enough to promote that kind of changing how your wizard would be. Because you just, as he said, and I agree, having access to all your spells and not being completely like you don't have a school taken away from, like you can't not cast necromancy if you study divination, right?
Yeah.
You can't not cast
Nothing is locked off.
Yeah, exactly. There's just like in 3.5 was like
Yeah.
it kind of made you then go, okay, so I can only learn these spells, and it's way easier for me to learn these spells, and I can never use these spells. Fuck, I really like those spells. Oh well, I'll have to deal with it and figure out a different way to deal with these situations if they come up.
Yeah.
But with now, it's just like, yeah, okay, I'll just do this.
I'm just better at this, but I can still do everything else.
Yeah. So it's just, I don't know. I understand the drawback of not being limited and like them not being specialized as much.
I, for one, would not like to see it so like you pick a field and you can't do anything outside of that field. Like, oh, I've chosen divination, now I can't do evocation. I'm fine with you having other spells that you can do. But I do think it should be very limited.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
the compromise would be like maybe they can only go up to like level 4 spells and
Yeah, I was thinking honestly level 3.
Okay,
No.
all right, yeah.
I-
I was thinking
Every
level 3, but then I
wizard
put
should
it
know
up.
how to cast fireball.
Oh yeah, well that's a
Yeah.
level 3 spell, yeah. So
Yeah.
But yeah, I again like it would be interesting to then make it so that you then have to look at your specialization more.
Yeah.
So I don't
Well,
know.
then wouldn't it be easier to essentially have like all wizards have like a base spell list that any wizard can cast, and then you have spells that only the other one, like
Yeah.
the specializations can cast.
Yeah, that'd be super cool.
Yeah. So that way you don't feel like you have anything taken away. It's just you're gaining something special for what you're doing.
Yeah.
And maybe you could have this, you know how all the subclasses are like, the classes are like at 4th level you can take this, at 7th level you can take this.
Yep.
Maybe you choose like a major study and then minor studies.
Okay, yeah.
So you can have all the spells from all the locked up spells from, say, transmutation, and then you want to take evocation, a little, like a couple of the spells from a couple spells from necromancy, a couple spells from that.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh,
That would be
cool.
kind of cool.
Literally, like colleges do.
Yeah,
exactly. So I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah,
Because
you
that
have-
way you can have your cake, and then you can have your icing, and then maybe some sprinkles, maybe then a little bit of fruit and a little bit of ice cream.
Like, yeah, it'd be cool if you could just like have a page devoted in the player's handbook of each school, or it would actually probably take a few pages, each school, and then on it have a major and a minor spell list.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be super cool.
And then at 1st level you have your major, and then at 3rd level you pick your minor.
Yeah.
Totally. That would be that would be super interesting.
Yeah.
Also, side note, because like I'm coming into this conversation late because I was distracted by my own pyromancer idea. The idea I've had for a while is you can cast as many spells as per day as you want. Your issue, however, is the fact that by powering your spells, you're drawing from your own internal flame.
Yeah.
Right.
and as such, your body temperature changes.
Ooh.
So you can overheat.
Or vice
very-
versa, you can go into hypothermia.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I was thinking overheating. Just because like you're
Pyromancy.
stoking, well, you're
Yeah.
stoking your flame and getting it above what it should be,
Mm.
and then scraping off that excess, and then launching your spell.
Oh,
with
okay.
that
I see.
excess.
Yeah.
And then you could also do vice versa, where your because you're a
Yeah, it's
pyromancer,
starting
your
to
inner
sputter.
flame is very strong, and you use the energy from your inner flame to cast shit. And if you cast too much, then it weakens and weakens and weakens.
cool.
But then I started thinking of what happens if the party goes to a desert and the pyromancer's like, I am fucked.
Yeah, that's when
Guys,
you start
I can do firebolt and that's it. And then you go to like a snowy mountain and he's like, whoa!
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like,
Well, then you know what
breathe-
you would do. Then you
get a
would
cooling suit.
either that or you'd be like, okay, in a desert, I can power myself, or I can weaken my inner flame, and then in the cold, I can power it up.
Maybe,
I can
yeah.
go back and forth if I need to, but that seems a little bit too
Yeah, that seems
too
high
fluid.
level.
The thing that I would say is I think they took it out, but there was a spell that made it so that you just were okay in extreme climates.
Yeah.
So it was just one of those things.
Survive temperature, I think it was.
I think so.
It was something like that.
And so you would then go, I need that, and put it on like an armband, and then like I'll be okay.
Yeah.
It'd be like a prep thing, but yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was just thinking, it's like you're in the middle of a blizzard, and you're like, today is a good day, and
Oh,
everyone
yeah.
else is like, this sucks, and you're like, nah, man, and you're just walking with like a fireball prepared in your hand, and
Yeah.
you're like, dude,
Gather around, boys.
This is the best.
Yeah, totally.
Fire off
That's
a
me.
bunch of spells and like just do the anime thing where they like open their mouth and breathe out in a ton of steam, like gases
Yeah. And then oh shit, I was gonna say something. Fuck. Ah, never mind, I forgot. Damn it.
have the party cryo mage like using spells on you while you use spells on the enemy.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what's going on with the
problem, then just give them less spells. The Dungeon Master is entirely in control of what spells they'll get to learn anyways, besides the 2 they get every time they level up. So if you don't
Oh
want them
my
to have a certain
God.
spell, then just don't give them the spell scroll for it.
Yeah.
So then it's not a problem.
Yeah, then it's not a problem, and this video was pointless.
That's what I remember now. This is why.
No, it's not pointless. It's 10 minutes and 2 seconds long.
Exactly.
It's true.
Money.
That's a lot of ad revenue.
That's some mid rolls, dude.
If that's not satisfactory for you, then during session 0, maybe encourage your wizard to conform to their subclass a little bit more. Maybe they only pick evocation spells. Oh wait, that wouldn't work because divination has a grand total of like 5 spells.
That is.
Oh, yeah.
Divination does need more spells.
Yeah, they do get the short end of the
Kind of
stick.
shit.
Yeah.
I know. Design your D&D games around your players.
Yeah.
I feel like I've said this before. Huh. Oh yeah, my very first video. Jacob, wait, are you saying that all of the problems that people have with wizards kind of fall flat because the Dungeon Master can really just build a game around a character and it doesn't have anything to do with the player, how they play their character, or any of the system whatsoever, and more just has to do with the Dungeon Master and how they're running and building
like
their
this
game?
Jacob more.
Yeah, it seems like that Jacob knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yes. But Jacob, if you made the game hard for one player, wouldn't it make it too hard for all the other players? Like, if you made a challenge for a wizard that was like another wizard with counterspell, then the monk or the fighter is not going to be able to do anything.
What?
No, because like
No.
I just described,
Like
No.
Doesn't make goddamn
actually
sense.
no. No, that is not how that works.
Yeah,
That's
that
the
is not a
opposite.
challenge.
Dude, you can wrestle a lich to the ground super easy.
Yeah, that's not what they do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't know if you know this, but a monk doesn't usually use magic.
Yeah. And a fighter will just fucking cut you in half from dick to head.
It would be hilarious. It would actually be goddamn hilarious if
Yeah,
a monk
dude.
does stunning strike on you and you counterspell it.
That would be fucking. Oh my god! Yes, please, fucking, please make the monk less fucking effective. Goddamn.
Fucking know you.
Yeah. It's so what this okay, so in the beginning he phrases this as it is his problem, but now he's saying he's already shifted it to being other people's.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like it's his problem anymore because he's found the answer and he's just saying, "Oh no, this is what other people think." And like fair enough.
That what gaslighting is?
Yes, it is. It is it is So fair enough, I am sure there are some people that think that way. But man, oh man, it really sounded like you also thought that way a second ago.
Yeah. Instead of just coming out and saying, this is a problem that some people have with wizards, and this is how you can fix it.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Like,
yeah. What I'm thinking is he's trying to get people who try to get videos based on confirmation bias. So he's trying to get people who think that wizards are dumb and defending wizards.
Again, it's clickbait.
But then, in which case, why not just call your video a defense of wizards?
Exactly.
Yeah, and just say wizards aren't dumb, and here's why.
Yeah, something that actually tells me what you're gonna be saying, because man, you're putting this out there that this is your assumption or what you actually believe, and then you go in and you say, "Oh no, this is something that other people believe."
And not to mention, didn't the whole
Doesn't he also have a whole character based around wizard stereotypes?
Yes, it's fucking awful. I hate it.
I don't know. I thought it was funny.
It was funny the first time.
Being a college or high school freshman ask a girl out for the first time is funny.
I mean the ones that are like the wizard uses fireball for everything. I don't like those. Like, I saw the first one, I was like, okay. And then it kept going, and I was like, oh.
Oh, you're still going.
Okay.
He also has one where that same character is using, I think it was like counterspell for everything.
Oh, yep, that one too. Yeah, I was just like, okay, yeah, cool. I get the point. I get the point. It's not funny. You're just pointing something out. And
that's not funny.
I get you're trying to make it funny by making an over the top character for it, but I guess it just doesn't do it for me. So that's my subjective. I don't know. It's so.
How do you think people would react if we posted a video that said XP to level 3 is dumb, and then spent 10 minutes and 2 seconds defending him, and then saying, well, some people don't like XP to level 3.
Right, but we like him, and here's why.
It's so like it's legitimately it would be so off like what we do. First off, second off, like, legitimately, I don't. It's clickbait to the highest degree, and I hate it.
But to be fair, it would also serve a purpose.
I don't know.
Because the whole point is that it is satire.
It's
the same thing as a modest proposal, where they recommended like people eat their babies during the Irish potato famine.
Yes. If we do it in such a way that it is clearly satire, then yes, that's fine. Right? Like, it would have to, if we were to do it in all seriousness, it would be a fucking problem. And fucking I bet that most people who found the video would not watch it and just dislike it or comment that they fucking hate us for no reason.
Yep,
right?
Without watching it.
So
unless we start the video by saying, hey, the first 10 minutes of this are us making a point that will be elaborated on later.
Yeah.
Like he did.
We're going to sound a bit hypocritical.
Exactly, right? Like,
yeah.
Yeah, you do.
And then we can spend 8 minutes and 45 seconds trashing him.
Fucking
and then the final bit be like, but XP to level 3 is pretty cool. I don't know what's wrong with you guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Immediately fucking just shift the blame and be like,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know why you guys think
I don't
all
know
that.
why you say those things about him, because
so-
he clearly does this, and this.
So funny.
Yeah.
Almost all the classes in D&D have this big problem solver problem. Also, you could make one specific maybe enemy encounter or story beat for that wizard. The other players can participate, sure, but you can also give them individual things as well. It doesn't just have to be about that one character.
Why do these
Boy, oh
videos have
boy.
to talk to the lowest common denominator?
Boy, oh boy, it sure is weird that that owlbear's feathers were coated in a soap that made it more likely to reflect spells.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah.
the fighter was really inconvenienced by that.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
all of this stuff I get. Okay, so if you're going to say this stuff for somebody who doesn't know this, frame it so that you're making a video that you're saying this to people that don't know this.
Yeah.
Because you're talking like it's also very, the way that you've done this, it feels very like you're talking down to someone.
Yeah.
Like
I don't feel that. He's literally talking up.
Oh,
it's true. You're right.
because he is beneath. No, just joking.
Years
I'm joking. I'm
beneath.
joking.
I've also, I do got to give him credit on the Adventure Time Lich shirt.
Yeah, it's cool.
Mm.
But I again, this whole I wish yes. I wish that this was made entirely differently.
Yeah.
You should do that so that they don't feel singled out. Is that the takeaway from this video? Yes, it is. Design your games around your players.
Oh,
you're not gonna
it
have any
is,
problems
huh?
Anymore. I don't have a bunch of ideas and encounters I could write up for you at this moment. I really wish I could. Oh, wait! I know how you can get one. Out of the box encounters.
Okay, now it's an ad. Gotcha.
Yeah, now it's
Like-
okay, so that's the takeaway. My takeaway from this video is not that.
No, like you set up video to say something entirely different, then you go and say something else.
Yeah.
It's like, then why start in a way
Well,
to
Granted, he did give a disclaimer saying like, oh, I'm going to do something that's going to make me seem like a hypocrite,
right?
but I'm doing it to make a point. But I don't understand what point was added.
I was gonna say the point A to point B seems very like a stretch. I don't know how this is supposed to help your point.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you're going to do that as a bit, sure, whatever.
Yeah,
But
make it a bit.
make it a bit that adds something to the takeaway that you're trying to give.
Yeah. And then you could also excuse me. You could also just not and then just do the video differently so that it's that you don't have to do that.
You could make it be the entire point of the video and just have, I don't know, more things to say about that point that make it supported. Right?
Yeah.
You could even film it as you having an argument with yourself, like both Jacobs, and be like, hey guys, for this video I'm going to address wizards, as well as some issues with wizard spell slots and how they are perceived, and how I think that these issues are not a big deal.
Yes, set it up in the beginning where you say, oh, I don't think this way. This is not how I think. I'm posting the problem as I've seen other people say it. Right?
Yeah, there you go.
If you do that, then I don't go, but it really seems like you also saw it this way.
Yeah.
And like, yes, it makes you sound hypocritical and stuff, but it didn't change the fact that the hypocritic, like being a hypocrite because of it does not change how the point came. Like it doesn't add to it. It really doesn't.
Maybe this is more indicative of who I am as a person, but I've done things exactly like what he did with this video for things like high school reports, where I would be given a subject and I would write on that subject, and I would realize 3/4 of the way through my paper that I was wrong.
Okay.
And then I would write my conclusion such that I'm detracting all the points that I've made, and say
Making
like,
it into essentially a
Yeah.
useless read.
yeah,
except for
yeah,
the
I
last
me-
fucking
yeah,
paragraph.
yeah. And what I'll say is that I would take like my intro paragraph and then my like 3 supporting paragraphs, and I would write my conclusion, um, like showing how the examples given in those paragraphs are wrong, and then I would tweak paragraphs 1, 2, and 3, and then rewrite the intro, and I would have a paper that says like, people believe this because this, but I think it is this because these. Um, and the end result is my paper would read a lot like how this video watches,
Yeah.
where you spend 3/4 of the video, like making a point, and then at the very end you detract all your points, and you're like dancing around with strobe lighting.
Yeah.
And in the very beginning, you just add a couple things like, oh hey, I'm gonna do this, and
Yeah.
And then you get an A.
and then you get an A.
Then you get an
And
A.
here's the thing. How old were you when you did that?
Oh, I don't know. I graduated high school at like 17, so like
Same.
15 or 16.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
You
where
do that when
Oh.
you're a stupid teenager. Not when you're an adult producing videos on a YouTube channel that's got like
money.
nearly that's got 227,000 subscribers.
To be fair, I did that like up halfway through like sophomore year of college.
I mean,
Wow.
and like
My
it kept,
opinion of you has just
and like man, oh man, it continued working until I got to higher level classes,
Exactly.
and boy, oh boy, did I start getting some lower grades.
it makes sense.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I had to change how I
Oh,
write everything.
unfortunately, he doesn't have to change this because okay. So the part that gets me the most is that he even references that this entire video is pointless because he's already talked about it.
Yeah.
He's already made a video on this, so why
Well,
make
again,
a second
it's
video?
not pointless.
It's money.
Yes,
So it's not pointless.
Right, I understand that. Right, you gotta fucking pay rent. You gotta eat. I get that.
Yeah, dude, I
But-
respect the hustle.
Maybe make content that you can be proud of. He could
That's-
be proud of this. I don't know.
You know, that's what happened. We all just got hustled.
Yeah, it's true,
Yeah.
and I hate it.
We each paid 10 minutes or
Uh,
more than that. We all spent like an hour and
It's-
3/4.
Yeah, it's been an hour and like 40 something minutes right now. But legitimately, but we've opened up so much discussion that has actually been fruitful. We talked about like fucking the different systems that we were trying to think of, like the class, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Plus, like already reiterating his points before he made them. So man, if you're gonna make like Jacob, calling you Jacob because we're friends.
Yeah, because we talk all the time.
We talk
Just like
all
Matt
the
and
time.
He's
Mercer.
smiling.
Yeah.
And he's pointing directly at us.
Exactly. Hey, Jacob,
Hi, Jacob. Get
I'll
off the fucking floor.
I'll point at you real quick.
You don't know where the floor's been. Sorry.
It's his apartment. He knows where that floor's been. Anyway, so
Ostensibly, floors are pretty static.
yeah. So legitimately, if you see this, I don't. Unless this was just for money or to really like reiterate that you had a previous video that you didn't enjoy, maybe then just remake the video and make it like good. Because I don't personally find this to be a good video.
Yeah.
It's relaxing, I'll tell you that much. The music choice and all that,
It's
it's
lo-fi.
chill. It's chill. So nice.
These
Thank
are
you.
some beats that I would study/relax to.
Exactly.
24/7.
Ugh.
So like yeah, if you want to make a chill video where you redo your other video and actually like maybe I don't know, take the points that you made and expand upon them more, and like and start off saying that these are the issues that you see other people talking about, and then counter those issues with the points that you counter at the very fucking end of the video. Then as you go through them, then I think it would have been a much better video. And it would have been probably something that you could title differently as well that isn't just clickbait. Like you literally say that wizards aren't dumb and it's not the point. The point was the point that you made at the end that you've already made. Make a video that you make the point then. Anyway, YouTube.
Mm.
Gotta make that money since the adpocalypse is here. Woo. Yeah, I don't know. It's fucking. I like your class stuff. Class
Oh
stuff
yeah,
is
no,
fun.
this class stuff is fucking excellent.
I really like that stuff. And I like the re-look at the warlock that you did. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, there's actually whenever there's a new player to D&D, I send them like that list of videos,
Yeah.
and then if they're playing the warlock, I will watch it with them.
Yeah. It's a good tool, and I really appreciate what you do with it. I'm not as fond of
wish-
the recent skits, but I liked all the ones before.
I wish he had like all of the classes though, because he has a fair few, but not all.
Yeah, no, he's slowly working on them.
Yeah,
So,
Joe Cat is sort of winning on him there.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's true. I like those two. So
Plus,
yeah,
Joe Cat remade, what was it, Barbarian, wasn't
Barbarian.
Yeah, he
Yep.
remade the Barbarian and apparently the Cleric one, though I never saw the original upload of the Cleric.
it? I saw the original upload of the Cleric. It was okay, which by Joe Cat standards is pretty bad.
Yeah, he's been really hard on himself for that actually.
Yeah.
I've seen stuff of him about it. But yeah, so yeah, I mean that's that video. We're gonna take our intermission here, and then we'll come back to another video.
I'm gonna continue eating Oreos.
Okay.
Brought to you by Nabisco.
God damn it.
Okay, so 6 things I dislike about D&D.
Yes. Hello. Welcome back. So, this is a video, by WSAD20, who we have covered. Aiden and I have covered, when you were away. We found that this guy's content is actually pretty good.
Good.
And I have watched this video, and I think I liked it. I remember watching it and liking it at least. And the I rewatched a little bit of it, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, I like this so far. So it also has to do with grievances with D&D, and it's gonna be a good watch, hopefully. So yeah, let's
dive in.
Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition is my game of choice. I love it, I run it regularly, and I plan to continue that for the time being. However, no game system is perfect, and there are some things I can't stand about the system. This video will cover 6 of them.
Just kidding. Like,
So let's go. Hi everybody, my name is Nate, and you are watching WASD20, a channel about tabletop RPGs and fantasy maps.
Hi Nate, I'm
So
Aiden.
firstly, I want to re-emphasize that I think D&D 5e is a really good system. Some of you might disagree with me on that, but personally, I like it. I appreciate the art and layout, the book craft, and I think the system itself strikes a good balance of complexity and options while also maintaining a level of simplicity, speed, and the ability to customize.
I would say Pathfinder 2e does it.
Was this made when Pathfinder 2e was out?
I don't know when Pathfinder 2e came. But I would just say that is all that I would say to that. I will check though.
Because I don't think Pathfinder 2e came out this month.
No, I don't think so. Pathfinder.
Release date. Oh, August 1st, 2019.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow.
This came out.
Dungeons and Dragons.
To be fair, September 27th, 2019. So
Might not have had his hands on it yet.
no. And I'm not saying that as a knock. I'm just saying at this point in time, now that I've played Pathfinder 2e, I think that it does it better than 5e does. It has the actual complexity, because I don't think 5e is very complex.
Yeah. But then it's not really supposed to be.
No, exactly.
It's supposed to be simple to draw people.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying I think it needs the complexity, and so if you want that complexity, you go to Pathfinder.
Yeah.
I fully understand that a lot of people can't stand that I just said those nice things about 5e. A lot of people really hate the system. Maybe it's the books, or maybe it's the greedy Hasbro corporate empire. Yes, Wizards of the Coast is owned by Hasbro. So those people may not be satisfied with my critique.
Fucking Ouija boards.
Oh my god, they're Satanists.
They are.
Yeah. Much like Nabisco.
Much like Nabisco.
And I encourage them to compile their own list of grievances down in the comments. Or, write a blog or make your own video or something. Hey. But anyway, for me, I just think it's healthy to process. Whine and complain a little bit. And my hope is that as I do so, I might even think of some simple solutions to some of my own problems with the game. Or, even better, get suggestions from you.
Look at this. He's going in. Promoting discussion and discourse, dude.
He's promoting us.
Like legitimately, it's refreshing as always to see somebody actually go in and say, I'm doing this right now, and hey, I might.
So
fucking,
can you?
Yeah, you can do it. You can give me a fucking tips and stuff, and I'll look at them.
Yeah.
Dude, like, one of my favorite things whenever people are like, and if you don't like it, make your own video about it.
Yeah.
Also, primarily because it allows me to go, well, I do make videos about it.
Yeah, exactly. It's right. It's just like, yeah, okay, cool, we will.
Check them out. #TableTalk.
Exactly. Well, there's also a couple.
D.
At TableTalk D&D, because #TableTalk is unfortunately used for a lot of other things too.
Yeah. No, I
Very
tried
weird.
finding us on Spotify, and I just searched TableTalk, and I was like, I may find one or two other results, and there were like 60. And I was
a
like,
lot of people have the same idea. But we have the discussion in Discourse, so
yeah.
Hey.
My 6 grievances. The first one is ultra serious and nearly breaks it all to pieces for me. Not really. It's kind of a dumb complaint, but we're going to air all the dirty laundry here. Why do they call it armor class when it's not just about armor? How does a monk or a barbarian with no armor have such a high armor class? So obviously the answer to this question is it doesn't just represent your armor. With monsters, it could be the natural armor, the thickness of hide or the hardness of scales. But it's also heavily dependent on your dexterity, and more broadly means how good you are at not getting hurt when attacked or avoiding the attack altogether. But then why do we call it armor class? Why don't they call it defense? Tradition. That's the way it's always been done. That's true of a lot of things in D&D, like why they'll probably never deviate from the traditional 6 ability scores. I get it. The word armor class is a key part of Dungeons & Dragons, and it's probably worth hanging on to. Still, it's confusing for new players, and when there are so many new things to keep track of when creating a character, it's one more barrier to feeling like you get it. You get it? All right, my next...
Okay, so that final bit of, like, it's more of a barrier, I don't necessarily agree with.
It's not. It's really easy to explain AC.
Exactly. Like, I think it's something that, as long as you just have somebody who asks the question of, like, what does this mean? What does armor class mean? And then they go, then you go, oh, it means how easy it is to hit you, right? And then
like, that's super easy. Like, you have an AC of 10. That means they have to roll at least a 10 to hit you.
Exactly.
Perfect.
They have a 50,
that's it.
50 chance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then if they go, oh, okay, so that only applies when I'm wearing armor, you go, no, it also has these kinds of things, and you explain it to them, right?
Yeah.
It's just it's a learning experience, and I feel like that's the best thing.
Yeah.
I've always internalized the phrase armor class to meaning like class I use the interpretation of class as in like ranking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like your level of armor is in a class, like, etc.
Yeah. And like it's just meant to be representative of you are in the class of like 13 for how hard it is to hit you. Now, yes, he is true. You do take into account things like dex and stuff like that. But for me, because the thought of armor is so inherently linked to defense for me, the words armor class pretty much inherently mean how hard you are to hit. And I agree with you, Alejo, in saying that his saying of like, oh, it's one more thing to learn. Like, it's fucking basic, dude.
Yeah, it's super easy.
It's a little easy. And again, this is his personal kind of grievance. It's not really like that much of an issue, but again, I don't think that it would be much of an issue.
It's more of a gripe.
Yeah. It's a small thing. So
Just a small thing.
Yeah, and not to mention, it's really just a dislike just of wordage.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like
just learn it.
Totally.
Yeah,
If you don't want to
it's
call
not
it-
hard. Like when you're making a character, and once you've like fully made your character, AC is something that takes up about like 0.1% of your brain power.
Yeah, I know. Like in the very beginning when I started, I was like, what does AC mean? Like every time
Yeah.
people were saying
Oh, yeah.
AC, they were just like, what does AC mean? And they go armor class, and then I go, what does that mean? And then they had it explained to me, and I was like, oh. Okay.
Now, I will say that Thaco, for me, is way harder to learn.
Yeah.
Because that's complicated and weird.
To hit AC 0.
Yes,
yeah, that's weird.
It's one of those things. THAC0 is unfortunately. I'm glad that I understand it more now than I did when I first started using it. But when I started, it was like, what is this system of just fucking weirdness?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, THAC0 is basically instead of like rolling to match the number, you're rolling against. I guess you could say you're rolling opposite of how you roll AC.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Essentially, you need to roll low.
Yeah, and because of that, I'm fine with it. Like, it's just another way of doing what is mathematically the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah, it was one of those things where just because it was different than what I had learned in the beginning of like since we started with 3.5, I had known that, and then when I looked at THAC0, I was like, this is just different and I can't understand it for some reason. And then it just took me like using it and actually like thinking about it to go, okay, now I get it.
Yeah.
It also doesn't help that it wasn't portrayed or taught very well in the books.
No.
Like, here is
Oh,
that
Jesus.
right there.
Uh-huh.
Like, I should
Yeah,
not have
like-
to fucking memorize a chart to know whether or not I can be hit. Why not just say big number equals more gooder?
Yeah. It's like I'm glad that it was simplified to just a straight up like 1 to 20, right, instead of 20 to 1.
Yeah.
People understand go up, but if you go down, it makes less sense.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, THAC0's weird.
Yeah, but I mean,
I still can't fully grasp the system, which
Yeah,
is why I don't use it.
every now and again it makes me kind of question if I know it, because like it is like that, and I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
it's like I said, it's just because it goes down, and that's weird, right, to all of our tiny little minds.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Monkey brain, big, not small.
Yes.
My brain is too top heavy. It doesn't good going down.
Yes,
It,
exactly.
it is better looking up.
Yeah. Too smooth.
Yes,
Yeah,
my
too
brain,
smooth, man.
it's too smooth. It's
Like-
not wrinkled enough for this shit.
Yeah.
Complaints have to do with death as well as rest and healing. But first, I'd like to thank my sponsor for this video, Ancient Lair, who is
It's actually really cool.
Ooh.
Like legitimately, check out Ancient Lair if you have any interest in some cool shit. But I think
Is it basically just swag and stuff?
it's
Oh,
like,
campaign medals.
yeah, it's like really cool medals, and like you can get
Ooh.
like 3D printed versions.
Okay.
Yeah. If you just anybody who is in their spare time, go check that out. I don't know if the campaign's probably done, and so they'll probably have their own website and stuff now. I don't know, but this was back when the campaign.
the video description. Thanks, Ancient Lair. All right, my second complaint about D&D 5e is that death is slow and rare. And really, the next 3 points all have to do with the idea that D&D 5e just isn't very gritty or realistic. I get that some people don't want that, but the last few years I've been drawn more to that style. Maybe if I start heading down that direction, I'll find that the grass isn't actually greener on the other side, but anyway, death. Both as a player and as a DM, I have found character death to be pretty rare in 5th edition. I think one would be hard-pressed to call D&D 5e a deadly game. Some people really like that it's not deadly, and overall, a game that's too deadly, I think, can have some negative consequences, like people just not being attached to their characters and not really being all that invested in developing a character.
Not having fun and
Backstory,
relaxing and chilling.
relationships, and growth. But the reality is, I pretty frequently see characters brought to 0 hit points and therefore knocked unconscious, and yet I've gotten used to the idea that this character probably isn't going to die. It doesn't feel very perilous, and I fully admit that this might just be my fault when I DM. I
Appreciate that.
Yeah, because it's very easy to make D&D, any edition, scary and perilous and dangerous and deadly. It's very, very easy.
Yeah, step 1, remove healing word.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, he even goes into what he does, which I'll let him do before I talk about it. But I also will agree that the realism kind of thing is something that I'm also drawn to. So I have a little bit of a bias there.
have not made my game deadly enough. Still, even as a player, I've just found it's really easy to survive these little knockouts. First off, unless a character is hit really hard, there are several chances to make death saving throws. And while this actually does create some fun tension, these are some high stakes rolls. If the party sees this going poorly, it's usually not that difficult for an ally to stabilize their fallen friend. And before too long, you're back up and ready to go. Even if you do use the lingering injuries chart from the DMG, which I really like and I do, a bunch of them are instantly solvable by a cleric with healing spells, and a bunch more are solvable by powerful forms of magic. Now, there are probably lots of ways you could solve these issues. I had one character who got knocked unconscious quite a bit. After about the third time in 3 sessions, I told him we were going to do a maximum of 10 times knocked unconscious before his character would die for good. It's like, after your 10th concussion, you're just going to be a vegetable, or you might die completely. Sorry, be more careful. To me, this infuses an element of realism and danger, which I find exciting. I've also considered making death saves secret. What if the DM rolled them behind the screen for the players?
Yeah.
So the players didn't know if that character might die. Could be kind of fun. Anyway, related to this complaint...
Okay.
Personally, I like having the player roll their death saving throws.
Yeah.
For 2 reasons. One, as a DM, and this is just me, but like if I made the rolls and their character died, I feel super bad because I rolled the dice.
Yep.
Secondly, as a player, I like rolling my own death saving throw dice.
You want to have your fate in your hands.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then the thing is, you just got to have, if you want to do that kind of a thing, have the player make their death saves, roll their own death saves, but just keep it a secret.
Oh, from everybody else?
Yeah. So that way the tension is still there for pretty much everybody, because they don't know how well you're doing, and while you know how you're doing, you don't know how the rest of your rolls are going to go.
To be entirely fair with that, though, that should be the case regardless, because in the role play, I feel like your character shouldn't fucking know, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
So even if they roll it out in the open, the people the out in the open should, I mean, be scared for it, but the characters don't know, right?
Plus, like, then you have them leaving like their seat to come up to roll behind your screen, and you got to make sure you don't have any notes open. And
here's the other thing you could do: just have a book, like a player's handbook, which you should always have at your table.
Thank you.
Just open it up in a V towards you, and then just roll in the V of the book. Boom! Instant DM screen. Less room, but it's better than nothing.
And then in that case, I have to leave my seat to make my way over there.
So for your initial thing of they have to leave their seat to go and see. His point is that you keep it secret from even the player. So they don't know, and they wouldn't get up to go and look at it, right? The other thing, like, I think that's neat if people are okay with it, right? That would be fun to do.
A cool variant rule.
Yeah. The other thing that he brought up was the lingering injury table, which I use, which is very fun because it, like I've said before, I've given the stories. It's just like legitimately can build and grow your character. Like, getting a scar on your face. That's a battle scar, dude.
Yeah.
And even people might even not choose to fix it, right? Like if it's something like that with everything in there, I will say yes, it is a little annoying that some of them don't have lasting effects. In the sense of like maybe the lasting effect is more so just the memory of it, I guess. More so than the physical thing.
Yeah, I'm not as much a fan of permanently making people's characters worse, like stats wise. I'm totally fine with having how to put this?
Superficial kind of things.
Yeah, superficial things, but like if I get knocked unconscious because like a club hit me and I wake up and I now have tinnitus for the rest of my character's life, making me take a permanent -2 on listening checks, that's going to feel more of an inconvenience after a while.
So
It's true.
I suppose so, and that's totally fair, and that's why you don't use that kind of stuff. But I think it kind of, it's not necessary. Like it has to make sense in the moment, right? Like there is the table, but if I roll on the table and it doesn't make any goddamn sense, like how did you lose your arm when you died via a scream? Right, like psychic damage, like that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah,
It was a loud sound.
Exactly, it just kind of popped off, you know. But it's one of those things that I think honestly using it is more of like an ideas kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And having them know that it's there so that they have more of a reason not to go down. You know, it's better for that kind of reason. Because then it improves, like he's about to say, the healing system as well, for me at least. And having his also, I agree with death, like is quite rare in 5e. Absolutely, 100%. I will barely see anyone die. Having died myself due to, things, oh well. And then having killed a couple of player characters, it's just a thing of like, you'll see it only when dice rolls go so far, right?
Yeah.
In one way or the other. Like when you roll 2 nat 20s on a disadvantage, and literally everything wanted Kalungo to die. Oh my god.
Yep. But he wanted himself to die.
He did.
So that's why I refused to let him.
Exactly, but then the gods dictated it. So
just leave me in the forest fire. It's fine. I will drag you out, motherfucker.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
No fucking furries left behind.
Hey, so I threw a javelin. What javelin? Well, from my bag. What bag?
I dragged you, not your shit.
Yeah.
That was heavy.
But anyway,
it slowed me down.
But yes, so I personally agree with this kind of fix. It's a very fun fix, and if it's not for you and your table, absolutely, like, don't use it. But I think it can add a lot. It can make the stakes even.
And there's also something to be said about it. It depends on your players, because I have another DM friend that works with me where I work. He works in a different department, but we talk and shoot the shit all the time.
Yeah.
And he recently had a campaign that unfortunately ended due to coronavirus, shutting down everything, and they couldn't meet for like a couple months. And the campaign fell apart, and he's making a new campaign at the moment. But what happened was he had a party of people who were traveling through the Underdark. And because he loves Warhammer stuff, and he loves the Skaven, he made the Skaven an Underdark race.
Yeah.
And basically what happened was I don't remember exactly. I think they had a huge fucking price on their head. And someone contracted the Skaven, or the Skaven knew about them somehow and were tracking them down, trying to kill them.
Right.
And they sent an assassin after them. And in the first encounter, they managed to fight him off, and before he left, he like hit his target with like a little like a throwing knife or some kind of throwing weapon.
Right.
And he hit him with it as like a parting gift. After he got hit with it, it was laced with like a magic acid, and the acid burned his mark, the assassin mark, into the guy's back.
Ooh.
So it was like, oh shit, I'm a fucking target of this master assassin now. And the second time they fought him, they won and they killed him.
Yeah.
But the mark was still there.
Yeah.
And they did have a healer. He's like, dude, I can fix that for you. Do you want me to? It's like, no, I like this, because the only people who have this mark and live are the ones who managed to beat that fucking master assassin.
Yeah,
this
dude.
is a fucking sweet ass battle scar.
Yeah.
I'm keeping this.
That's super
And so
cool.
you have the players who love to keep their injuries, even if it does affect them.
Mhm.
You can like lose an eye, and then you can get a title from that, like Olaf One Eye, who's an incredible archer, even though he only has one eye. You have people who fucking lose their arms, but then find some way to make some kind of like an artificer can maybe make them some kind of magical prosthetic or something.
Yeah.
And you have like this fucking badass metal arm, like Full Metal Alchemist, not
Yeah,
the
yeah.
magic and stuff. But
but like at the cost of the gold that they've then worked to like build up.
exactly.
Totally.
And you have to go on adventure after adventure to build up to that. And you still have this one-armed character, but he went through hell and high water to get a substitute.
Yeah. Exactly. Like,
And so even if the system can be subverted by magic, I think that's still the player's choice, because you can wind up getting crit in the face, and your bard is this fucking magnificent specimen of a man.
Mhm.
You know, he's Fabio
Mhm.
with the fucking gorgeous golden locks, and he gets a scar across the
And the
face, and he
goose blood.
loses like 2 charisma. I can't have that. Healer, remove this blemish.
Yeah, totally.
And so you should be able to do that.
Yeah, I agree.
It changes, like, it makes it not as even then I would say it doesn't make the system any less effective, because that evokes real character growth and role play.
Yeah, again, it's one of those things of, it depends on how you look at it. Like how
Yeah.
Aiden said he doesn't like to put that onto people because it feels like a detriment.
Yeah.
And I understand it, and I agree with that if that's something that you don't want to do. Absolutely, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas I look at it as more of like, this happened to you, and this is a memento, and so you will either deal with it yourself or you'll live with it, right?
Yeah.
So it's something cool.
So I would say, just Booze had his rant, I shall now have mine. I would say a memento is not a disability. Having a scar on your back or something, that's a cool story. Losing like an arm, moreover, like your sword arm, looking at, as loath as I am to say it, a good example back in Winter's Coming.
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, yes.
I was thinking that too.
When Jaime loses his sword hand, that was crippling for him.
He worked through
And
it.
the only reason why it was able to work out in season 8 with him beating Euron was because fucking plot armor.
Spoilers! God, I was gonna watch that season. The best season of Game of Thrones.
It is the best season of Game of
Anyway.
because you get to watch it and be angry.
At the
But,
Starbucks.
like, yes. And ultimately, yes, it is less realistic to not have injuries, but we also play a game with dragons that don't have anywhere near realistic surface area to weight ratios for their wings, that breathe fire and talk to humans despite having a draconic mouth with no problems.
Just because it's fantasy, though, that doesn't mean you can't have the real.
No, there should be a tinge of realism, but I do believe... Sorry, there should be realism, but I believe it should be tempered.
I
Much
agree,
as there
and
should be fantasy, but it should also be tempered.
I agree, and that's why I think the lingering injury isn't that much of a problem, because you have the fantastical elements that can.
Yeah, that's the thing. When you have an injury like that, if you have something that's really fucking bad, like if you have a Vorpal thing that does something, you roll on a table and they lose their leg and you're like journeying, that's bad. But then you should always have the ability for the player to get that leg back.
Yeah, I'm not going to just put it there and go, you don't have a choice, you have to live with it. I'm going to put it there and go, you have...
Yeah, no, that's not what we're saying.
Yeah, no, not
unless it's like Call of Cthulhu, where you're just fucked.
Yeah, well,
but
it's because it's mostly realism.
I thought you were just saying like, all right, well, your character is now missing an arm. Please take a -8 to all of your attack rolls until
absolutely
eventually
not.
dies.
No,
Fuck you, by the way.
Like for
I was like, whoa.
No way. That would be
Come
cruel.
on, you know us better than that.
Come on. That'd be cruel.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
It's why the whole time I've been like, I don't like this.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I like it. I always, if that ever happens, I will always give my players a way to either deal with it in a new way or reverse it.
Yeah, totally. It's one of those things of like, if you're gonna just do that to somebody without their knowledge or really actually giving them any option to like fix it, if you know for a fact that they would want to, I mean, then what the fuck are you doing, dude? That's kind of a dick move.
That's a dick move. That's an evil DM.
Yeah, a little bit. So like, because quite literally, if my paladin ever wants to get those scars removed, he can go to the capital city of the fucking place, and he can go and find the best fucking priests there because they live there, because that's how the society works. And he could go get that fixed for a little fee or maybe a favor. Who knows, right? Like,
hey, anti-tattooist, help me out.
Exactly, right? Like there's always gonna be a way, and especially even if, like, I don't know, if they have a healer in their midst who already can do that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I wouldn't just be like, so your character's fucked for the rest of life. Go deal with it. No, that's a player choice.
Yes.
If the player goes, my character's fucked for the rest of his life, I'll go, well, no.
He doesn't have to be.
You could, like, legitimately, I actually had to say that to my paladin, because he was like, oh, fuck, it takes my, like, I get disadvantage on charisma for persuasion? That's, like, what I do. And I was like, but it does give you advantage on intimidation, so, I mean, and he was like, oh. And I was like, yeah, so
it's like back when we played Strahd, I wasn't a fan of a lot of the corruption stuff. Because it basically feels like being punished for adventuring in a lot of scenarios. But what I am a fan of is things that take something but give something in return.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure, my skin is now scabbed and weeping pus, leaving me with disadvantage on, like, well, not disadvantage because that wasn't a thing, but like a disadvantage in the form of a negative modifier.
Yes.
I now have a -2 charisma, but my AC just went up because my like skin can now like is hard enough to deflect certain things.
Yeah, totally.
And I think a little bit of give and take can be a really better way in a lot of situations to make that.
Yeah, that's why the scar thing in general is like a thing you can do. But like with even with cutting off an arm, if you get it just healed back, you just get your arm back. Or like you have with Boo's example, you could get the artificer to make you a new arm.
Yeah,
fucking
and then not only do you have your arm back, you have a metal arm that you could like do shit that you could never do before with it.
Yeah.
So like I think any scenario can be put that way. It just depends on if the player wants it to be that way or not. You know?
Yeah, it depends on whether or not the player either chooses to give up and not do anything about it, or to show initiative and do something about it. It's really up to them.
And again, this is also down to you as a DM going, is this right for this scenario and this player? Right?
Yes.
There's a lot of work behind it there.
And then it also, it should probably come down to between the DM and the player affected. But say you have a player who loses a very, very important limb or something like that, it could be wise to take that player aside and be like, don't worry, you can get this back.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, no,
Like
definitely.
you are not fucked.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's gonna come a little bit later on, like not too far, but you can get it back.
Yeah, I would go so far to say it's not a thing where you could talk to your player. It's
Where
a thing
you
where
should.
you do talk to your player before.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Well, the thing, depending on the system, you might not be able to predict that.
Yeah, that's the other
Yeah.
thing. Like with the lingering injury thing, you can't really predict what they'll get. So.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway,
the only reason why I say could is just because it would kind of take the stakes out of it and like the actual mental effect of that out of it. But again, it depends.
Yeah, exactly. You got to know your player.
Yeah.
Anyway. The next thing I can't stand about 5e is resting and healing. As with the previous complaint, part of this comes down to us as DMs. We probably need to make it harder for our players to rest, especially in the middle of a dungeon. Some groups might want that more epic, heroic feel, and that's fine. But for me, I generally don't like how easy it is to recover hit points. Rolling a bunch of hit dice during a short rest seems dumb. Like, you can just hang out for 30 minutes and a 4th level character could easily regain 20 hit points.
It just don't seem right.
So fortunately for this one, there are some alternate rules in the DMG for this stuff. For example, healers...
Oh, I like how he actually...
he actually
notes the pages. That's great.
Someone has to expend 1 use of a healer's kit to be able to spend any hit dice to recover. Or slow and natural healing, where a player can't just automatically regain all their hit points at the end of a long rest. Rather, you have to spend hit dice at the end of a long rest, not just short. Or if you want to go with the gritty realism rest variant in the DMG, you could say a short rest is 8 hours and a long rest is 7 days, which actually makes a whole lot of sense. If you're seriously wounded, the notion that you can just hop back up to full health after 8 hours of sleep is a little ridiculous. Now, ultimately, I want to make clear that my calling out 5e as not deadly enough might make it seem like I want a completely realistic simulation of reality. But that is definitely not true. The most realistic game, the most simulationist game, will not be the best game in my book. It has to have a balance. You know, concessions have to be made to make the game fun and to make it a bit of an escape from reality. I happen to think 5e is fun. Still, I think dealing differently with rest and healing, as well as death itself, could make the game more exciting. I think a game where the threat of character death is ever present is more exciting. And honestly, I think the occasional character death makes for some good stories. My 4th point...
So, again, I have the bias on this because I also am gravitating towards realism more so as I play. Because I've told this before, we were using the system of you have all your hit dice, you can take your short rests, but on a long rest you only get 1 hit die back instead of all your hit die back, just to make it so that it would take multiple days if you want to recover from a very big injury after having that ability to heal, which makes it so that the cleric is a lot more important because every day you're not just able to spring yourself back up. Right? Yeah.
It's making me think of the Call of Cthulhu healing.
Exactly. Which I prefer more because it's a little silly to go, you took 3/4 of your hit points in a day and you're just going to be fine tomorrow, right? And I understand why it's there. It's for the simplicity of combat and to just keep going through a dungeon, right? Because you can just take an hour and be fine. I get why, and we do it for Devils and Dice because we don't have a healer, and that makes sense. But I like using if there is the option of a healer, or if there's like the ability to just go and get potions very easily and stuff like that. I like the idea of you need these things because you won't just instantly get up. Yeah,
I agree.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's fucking weird.
Yeah, no,
that doesn't happen very often.
It happens sometimes, and and I expect somebody to go like, well, you know, and
it's
and I'm over here going, all right, cool.
Yeah. That was easy.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah, this is unfortunately this video is full of points that we can agree with, but we have had some discussion, so it's good.
Yeah.
Yay.
I'm okay
The
with that
last one
though.
on the topic of grittiness, hit points. The thing that bugs me is that as your hit points go down, even getting near 0, your effectiveness in combat does not
still fine.
decrease.
True.
Now, listen, I can handle the fact that
That's
if
a
you're
big
getting
issue
low
I
on
have.
hit points, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are injured. I can handle the fact that each time you're hit, it doesn't necessarily mean you're getting another cut or stab. It could just mean you're getting worn down, nearer to the point where your enemy will be able to more easily sneak past your defenses to deal that killing blow. Still, it does seem that at some point in combat, you not only become more prone to death, but less prone to hurting your opponent. This is one of the many things I appreciate about the game Forbidden Lands, which definitely goes for the more...
So, one of the issues I have with D&D, hit points.
Oh wait, okay, so D&D as a whole.
D&D hit points.
Oh, okay.
Is the fact that you can say, okay, yeah, you're getting worn down and you're getting a bit battered and bruised, but like the average person when worn down does not promptly faint.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There is in 3.5. I remember the feats that go from endurance. If you take that and then you get what's it called? There's a feat.
You can fight at -1 hit points, I believe.
Yeah, and if you get down to, you can fight until death, basically, which is -10. But you can only do like one thing every turn. Which is cool. To spec into.
You're winded.
Yeah, you're super winded and you're really hurt, but then the magic makes you all better. But it's one of those things of you still have that initial issue of, well, why can't everyone really do that? You know, because you're not going to just be unless you are immediately knocked out by whatever the narrative is, which anyone can spin the narrative to make it so you're unconscious from that blow that makes you.
Yeah.
But when you get back up as well, like there's no like repercussions, you know, there's nothing. If you get up from 0 to 4, there's no repercussions for being at 4 out of 40 hit points. Right? Like it's weird to think I'm fighting fit at 4 hit points.
Yeah.
But I understand why they do it because like it's the system. Right? If you changed it too much, it would be a little bit more imbalanced. But then you alternatively could do that to your monsters, right? They would also start taking negatives as they, drop down in hit point.
I would actually like to make a table and introduce it as a variant rule. Like when you're 80 to 100 hit points, no problem. When you're like 50 to 80, you get like a -1 to AC and to attack rolls and to speed. And then it gets like incrementally worse and worse as you get lower.
Yeah, that'd
and
be cool.
To the point where like you're at like 2 hit points and you're limping.
Yeah, and honestly, if you did that, then I would say that having the rest mechanic as it is would be fine, because you already have that initial thing that is making it so it's harder if you don't have that rest, right?
Yeah.
Again, like having that plus like the thing that I was proposing or that I use, then it would be like fucking hardcore mode, right? Like you don't go on adventures every week, you go every like month. Because fucking hell, dude, that'll take the shit out of you.
You also have to give your players more gold because they're gonna have more downtime.
Absolutely.
And it starts making adventuring more of a career path where you're not going out all the time, but when you do, it's profitable.
Yes.
And less of a, well, I'm a hobo who spends all his days riding around in wagons.
Yeah, it makes the tone of the game that a different kind of thing, which is cool.
Yeah. And then I think I would, if we change to a system like that, I think I would slightly increase the amount of time. Maybe not slightly. I would increase the amount of time it takes for you to actually do a short rest and a long rest.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sure.
I would make like a long rest more like a full day. Of like just rest. You don't have to be like bedridden, but you can't be doing any big exertion. And then like a short rest would be like maybe like 4 hours
That's the issue that I have with making a long rest a week. Is
Yeah,
I
a
don't
week is
want-
just so
I
long.
don't
is too
want my
much.
character to be bedridden for a fucking week.
Yeah,
I
if
know
I-
if I wanna
it makes
be-
sense, like in a hospital setting, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But I don't.
and it makes sense of
play-
Call of Cthulhu.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't play D&D to have a week and like to role play out spending a week in a hospital.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If I want a week of downtime, I want it to be because I chose to have a week of downtime.
Yeah.
Not to
Like,
mention,
still let
if
them do shopping and talking and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Just
Yeah.
nothing too intensive.
Yeah, not to mention, if you do the full week of long rest, unless your players have a lot of stuff to do in their downtime, that's probably going to result in a lot of time passes and your rest.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, and again, if people do it and they find it successful, hey, cool.
Yeah, that's good for them. But I know that I wouldn't enjoy that
No,
as much.
it seems like something that wouldn't.
Yeah.
Also, a big issue that I have with having so much time spent on a long rest is a lot can fucking happen in a week.
Yeah,
You can get
especially with your
mugged.
enemies.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like
It's not
you can
good.
get-
Go into motion.
you can be going on your way to the fabric store and get mugged. Like, have I recovered any hit points yet, or do I only get to roll at the end of the week? Or is healing at the end of the week, do I actually have like 50 hit dice and I'm rolling a hit dice per day?
Yeah,
like,
and
you have to change the whole health format.
yeah, you got to change too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think with the week thing, the way that they have it presented, and I don't have my DMG in front of me, but I believe the way they have it presented is a week is just you get all your hit die back and you're fully healed.
Oh, okay.
And then the short rest is the day, where you can just spend your hit dice. I believe that's how it is. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's one of those things of if you find a way to make it work, cool. But I don't think
My
it'll
short
work.
rest is going to the inn and like drinking and eating for
Yeah.
like 4 hours.
Yeah.
And then hey, you're good.
Have some self-care. Have a spa day for like a second.
Yeah, right?
You'll be fine.
There is actually one thing that I've been meaning on building for a while is a heavily modified. It would still use the D20 system, but like a heavily modified version of D&D. Although calling it D&D would probably be a bit disingenuous to the point of DM craft.
Right, yeah.
But a Darkest Dungeon style crawl
Mm.
wherein
okay.
you have 4 like D&D characters.
Right.
And you level them up as you would a normal D&D character. But each person has 4 characters, but they can only take 1 per outing.
Ooh.
And they have to rotate through their people and like manage like, oh man, this person isn't really healed up yet, but like, oh god, that person there still has the broken foot. And you kind of have to manage your wounds and your healing and your money.
Yeah.
And it's the story of 4 players or 5 players or whatever, each controlling 4 or 5 characters, and it's them running an adventurers guild.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
That'd be
neat.
fun. That would be fucking weird, but man,
Yeah.
like in a good way.
Yeah.
And it would be sort of a Darkest Dungeon style crawl where like you will encounter eldritch horrors that may deliver some like psychic damage just by looking at them or mess up your character's psyche.
Yeah.
And because of that, they have to spend time like chilling out and drinking and maybe
yeah.
finding religion.
Can you fire them if they get too fucked up and hire a new one?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I was gonna say, so we just make Darkest Dungeon again, but in a roleplay
Yeah,
form.
we make the Darkest Dungeon TTRPG.
Okay. Yeah,
Ah.
that'd be pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like so many of my problems playing Darkest Dungeon is the fact that I don't directly control the characters.
Yeah.
Excuse me, especially
I know
when we
that
get-
fucking feeling from Persona 4 and fucking 3. Oh, wait, was it 4?
like,
No, it
when
was just 3.
when I'm like at the homestead and I'm on like the 13th wave and I'm doing pretty good, and then all of a sudden all of my characters all get paranoid and start spending entire rounds doing nothing but screaming at each other. Meanwhile, there's a skeleton with a sickle in front of them that is still hitting them, and they don't care because they're too busy screaming at each other. Like, I don't like that.
Yeah, no, that kind of shit is so annoying.
I get Darkest Dungeon is making the best of a bad situation, sure, but don't rip away character and player agency.
Mm.
Oh, I like Darkest.
Oh, I love Darkest Dungeon. Fuck Darkest Dungeon. I love it.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's I don't have as much of a problem with that. Personally. I think it's fine as a mechanic.
Yeah, but like you can be paranoid and mad, and if someone's charging you with a knife or a goblet full of stress-inducing wine, you're still going to want to kill them. You're not going to be in the process of telling the cleric that their god is fake. Meanwhile, you're getting stabbed in the back by a knife.
I know. And again, I understand where you're coming from. But I think that honestly just it's the mechanic of it's like just the mechanic of the game. It's just part of how the game is, you know? So
I love the stress mechanic.
Yep.
That's fine. I don't think it was implemented well. With some exceptions, of course. Overall, I'd say 85% good, fantastic. But every now and then you get a string of bad luck where I'm like, this seems probable enough still that they should have taken it into account. Much like characters spending 2 turns doing nothing but scream at each other.
While they're being killed.
While they're being, like, someone just chopped down Fred 2 feet from me. I'm not going to tell the cleric, like, oh, well, you stole my broccoli the other day.
Yeah, I think honestly. So
I think we're getting a little too off topic here.
Well, let me just put this final thing of like I think the mechanic itself to make it so that you're hindered in some way is what they were going for. But they should have. I agree that there should be a better way for it to happen. Maybe just debuffs and stuff instead of just completely throwing your turn away, basically.
Either that or have it be like in some RPGs where sleep is a status, but the second you hit them, they wake up. They take a lot of damage from that hit, but then they wake up.
It's one of those
it's like
things,
that.
So it's one of those things where you can't just wake up out of like a mental
being stressed.
Oh, I know.
You know?
But I mean, at least you could be like, you're paranoid and you're screaming at somebody, but then a skeleton just chop your arm off. It's like, oh, maybe I should stop arguing and maybe I should try to refocus on that now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Be like that.
Game design is just a whole different beast.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, let's continue.
Gritty, low fantasy vibe. Your strength pool is kind of like your hit points and your attack score. Now that I mention it, I think maybe Numenera does this too. Now, Forbidden Lands I actually haven't played. It's been on my must-play list for months, and I really want to run it sometime soon, so I'll say that it's totally possible that I'll dislike the gritty, realistic style and just think it's too deadly and not fun. But I'm attracted to the idea, and I guess stay tuned for an update on that at some point. Next.
Sounds cool.
Yep.
I would try it out.
Stuff. Yeah. I hate the XP budget system. Does
That's
anyone
why I
really
don't
use
use it.
this? I mean, okay. I guess, you know, as I'm looking at it, it's really not that bad. It's probably a pretty decent system if you really want balanced encounters. And, you know, it's not a necessary part of the game, so I guess it's good it exists for some people who might benefit from it. It does seem to get you closer to encounter balance than going just by challenge rating. But for me, I don't need perfect balance. I ballpark using challenge rating and looking at the actual monster stats and my players' stats.
Knowing what
and even if I did want to get closer to balance, this makes my head hurt. I'm probably just not a very patient.
Head hurty.
Yep.
No want.
Too smooth.
My brain too smooth.
Feel bad against smooth brain.
No, but legitimately, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like yeah, no.
no,
I
Fuck the XP system.
I don't even know what I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know
Yeah.
that was even a thing.
I
So
looked
that's
over
how
it-
much it means to me.
I
What
looked
do you
over
mean
it
you didn't know
once.
it was a thing? Haven't you read your player's handbook?
It's not in the player's handbook. It's in the Dungeon Master's Guide.
Mm.
Oh yeah, well.
I
to be
read the
fair,
majority of that, and then I was like, I read the majority of the Dungeon Master's guide, Dungeon Master's handbook.
Yeah.
And I
read
just
the
I
section-
skimmed the stuff that I was like, oh, okay, design dungeons like this. Yeah, no, fuck you. I'm gonna design them how I want. You know.
Yeah. I saw the thing for randomly generating towns, and I was like, that's pretty cool. I may come back to that. And spent the rest of the time checking out things like Sovereign Glue.
Yeah. That's what honestly, that's
Yeah,
what
the
I do
magic
most of the time.
items.
I look at the actual like established stuff like magic
Mhm.
items and shit. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, this
Yeah.
gives me ideas, you know.
That was actually why a couple videos ago I knew that Sovereign Glue was in the DMG, was because I was so struck at the fact that it was there. And that's when you guys are like, oh, where's the Sovereign Glue? I'm like, oh, it's DMG.
Yeah.
Oh.
person, and I definitely do have a short attention span. So, XP budget, you're not so bad, and at least you're easy to ignore. The last thing that bugs me about D&D 5th edition is its kitchen sink fantasy. This is one of its greatest strengths, for sure. It's one of the reasons it's so popular. There are a huge variety of locations, races, cultures. Almost any fantasy character you can imagine can fit in this game. Some have called it vanilla fantasy, but to me it's more like all the flavors mixed together. Like a 9-year-old getting a Slurpee at 7-Eleven.
all
A little
dressed.
of this, a little of that. Oh,
Hey,
you want some
hey,
gnome?
fuck you, I do that.
Yeah.
Alright? I will not hear you slander my strawberry watermelon Slurpees with
Ooh,
a
that's
topping
pretty
of
good.
blue raspberry.
Hell yeah. That sounds delicious.
Yeah, there's a reason I get it every time.
Oh, yeah, you want some airships? Yeah, we can do that. Again, it's a great strength of the system. However, if I want to play a really specific fantasy setting where there might be fewer races or where magic is not very prevalent or has a more specific way of working, that's sometimes a hard sell for players because the cat's already out of the bag.
Not really.
They've already given us everything but
Well,
the kitchen sink.
Just
No,
make a
so-
custom world.
Yeah, just say like when you're starting the campaign, hey, there's no lizard guys. It's like, oh, okay.
So I understand what he's saying in the sense
Yeah.
of if you're trying to ask your players who are brand new and have read it and they go, I want to be all this stuff.
Yeah.
And you go, well, I was thinking of doing this world where it's low magic, there's no lizard people, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then they go, oh, like I get that when they're the new players who are really excited. So
Yeah.
obviously what you do is you don't play with those players in that setting, you play with people who will
Mhm.
like the setting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't think I've ever played a campaign that took place in Faerun or the Forgotten Realms.
Yeah, no.
No, we played in we played in Faerun.
When?
Oh yeah, you guys
our-
did because
Yeah, our
Brogan,
like first edition game.
Brogan
Oh, that
always
was in Faerun?
Brogan
that was in
always
Faerun.
uses Faerun,
Yeah,
but
well,
I
yeah.
never
fucking
know.
Brogan does, of
I
course.
Yeah.
never know.
So we were all along that's the southern area in the Knoll Mountains or whatever it was called. Remember that?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, 'cause
I could show you the map, but I'm too lazy to bring it up right
I
now.
honestly figured I may have had some experience in the Forgotten Realms when we did that Pathfinder one-shot, Alejo. And I was like,
I don't think it was. I think he was using the Pathfinder place.
oh.
Mhm.
Because I was going to say, like, knowing Brogan, he'll probably just use some default map.
Yeah.
He was.
But it's not like it ever was important.
No, exactly. Unfortunately the setting itself didn't make like it. I for when I ran Expedition to Castle Ravenloft, it
Oh, yeah.
it itself is in Barovia, which is actually not even technically in Faerun or any
Yeah.
of the Forgotten Realms at all.
Mm.
It's like separated, right? Because it's in
Yeah.
a different like plane.
Isn't it in a
basically.
different yeah, it's in a different plane.
So like, and I just kind of was like, oh, so it can work in my world. Cool.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I'm not against using the established stuff at all. It's just one of those things of like, I'd rather kind of have control of the world.
Yeah.
than have it already be written for me.
I feel like
But
using pre-established areas helps a lot if
Yeah.
you don't have if you're not a world builder.
yeah.
Because world building is kind of a skill.
It's hard
not
to do. Definitely.
It's hard to do. Because you have to make the fucking world.
Yep.
That's a lot.
Yep.
You got to make deserts, plains, jungles, mesas, steppes, mountains, caves, underdark, fucking space, other planets, and continents, islands, oceans, skies.
You don't necessarily have to make all this.
You have to no. But like even just taking a cherry picking that from that stuff,
Yes.
you still have to make something.
Yeah, that's just the landscape, and then you have the political scape, you have the economic scape, you have all this stuff that you have to think.
That's why when I made my world, I was like, okay, it's one religion because it's all the area that in my world that you will eventually be playing in. It's like a kingdom on a continent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same.
So they all follow the same fucking thing. Fucking simple for now because like I spent so much time building the world and I've got backstory on every single like major area and town.
Yep.
So it's like, and then I haven't even done characters yet.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
That's why I made it simplistic for myself of going, hey, magic's new. Haha.
Yeah, exactly.
So fuck everything else that happened before. Woo!
So again,
that's not true actually.
Using established maps and worlds is totally fine.
Yeah, no,
it just means that unless you are able to rework that stuff and efficiently relay that reworking to your players, you're kind of stuck with what you got.
Like
there's
so I use pre-written stuff if I'm gonna do a one shot. It's just like it'll go for like a second. Oh well.
Yeah, because a module.
Exactly. Yeah, if I run a module itself, then I'll obviously use the module, but I'll twist it a bit because like I did that with the expedition. So, but yeah, it's one of those things of you just if you're using one of those, it's good for anyone who's starting out to run a module first. You will understand so much more of how the game works and how like things are done, as well as just have that ability to better yourself through the module. And you can add your creative spin to things if you really want to.
Yeah, and then if you're the kind of person that kind of somewhat turns their nose up at modules, start with a one shot then.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's the next best thing. Campaigns take way more effort. Way more work, way more preparation. And if it's your first thing, you might not have the stomach for that.
Just everything. Anyway.
Yeah.
Players generally don't like feeling limited by the constraints of your little homebrew world or rules. If it's in a book, I should be able to have it, which I don't agree with, and some groups probably handle these limits very well, but it does make it difficult for a DM with a more specific vision than the kitchen sink. So this is one of the reasons I really enjoy taking breaks from 5e to play things like Tales from the Loop or Simba Room, where there is just this very specific setting and it feels smaller. There's like a specific history and storyline. And this is huge, rules that support that very specific setting and history, allowing for some really cool synergy. Now, this can be done with some tweaking of the 5e rules. Just look at Adventures in Middle-earth, which is its own setting and
I know I've watched this video before, but I actually Humble had a bundle of this like a while ago, and I was gonna fucking it looked neat because it was just like you can be in Middle Earth in 5e, and I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. But then I was like, but I don't really want to tell a story in Middle Earth because I think honestly the stories that have already been told are pretty good. And like
not to mention the way the Lord of the Rings world is written, it's kind of impossible-ish.
Yeah,
because in the beginning there's like when there are finally like mortal-ish races or you know like elves, like evil thoughts were not even really a thing.
They weren't a thing
until Melkor came along.
Yeah,
and then that's like the whole thing with Melkor up to Sauron has already happened, and you know what happens. And then after Sauron is defeated, there's like no more evil.
What I assume is that these are like it has to be like a module kind of thing where it's already a pre-established kind of story that you play through. But at the same time, you can't rely on your players to just play through the story, and they're gonna want to do other things. So it's something like, because that's why I don't usually enjoy being in a world that is a different medium, I guess, that isn't used for D&D necessarily. Because I'm just like, as if it's done in an open world, I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
but if
like
it's
Star Wars or something,
something that actually makes it so you can do that, and it doesn't like feel like you're gonna see a character from the medium, I guess. And then like in Middle Earth, it's like when I played Lotro. Like Lord of the Rings Online just felt so fucking weird.
Yeah.
You were just like you're just following like the story, but you were in the story, but you weren't in the story.
Yeah, that reminds me of another Lord of the Rings game that was like on consoles, I think. And the whole story is that you're like three dudes who are just following the Fellowship, and that's it.
Third Age.
Yeah, Third Age, and then you fucking fight the Balrog, and then you're done.
Like no, you fight the fucking Eye of Sauron itself.
Oh, that's right.
You fight the tower. You fight the fucking tower. Brogan and I played through that whole game. We recorded it, and it's fucking gone. It's lost. It's so upsetting, but it was ridiculous.
I remember that now.
Yeah.
That's so stupid.
So, but there, like, there is a place, like, I know Aiden runs his game in the Elder Scrolls world, and like that's so open world that it makes sense to me.
Yeah,
I have that slight aversion just because I'm not as much of a fan of Elder Scrolls. You know, that's just my personal preference. So.
For those of us that live and breathe Elder Scrolls lore, it's more like it's like swimming in a nice pool.
Yeah, exactly.
Not to mention
wherein you despise the owners of the pool. A nice pool.
The other thing that's really helpful about Elder Scrolls in a D&D aspect is that you have the events of the games, but the events of the games are separated by like hundreds of years.
Or two in my case.
That's true.
Oh. So you have all this wiggle room.
Yeah. My campaign takes place 2 years after the Oblivion Crisis, when Falmor are starting to rise in the Somerset Isles and sort of claim responsibility for the Oblivion event ending despite Akatosh's direct involvement.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can honestly, that's a good, like, honestly, after a major event seems like a really good place to start.
Because it's a time of great change.
Exactly.
Yes.
So why not? Throw them in there and they can be some changes. Neat.
Yeah, there's a shit ton of political unrest in the Far East because the Argonians just led a civil are about ready to lead a civil war, seceding from the Dark Elves. You have Argonians that are coming back from invading Oblivion, and they're like all fucked up.
Oh, that's right. The Argonians beat the shit out of the Oblivion.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, that's right.
Them coming back all fucked up is like my thing. Them coming back like mutated and shit.
Oh, that's cool.
But like the Hist absolutely mutated the Argonians to be like better at combat. And made them like wear Crocs and shit.
Oh, the Croxagores.
Yeah, and they charged through those Oblivion portals and established beachheads in Oblivion.
D-Day that fucking Oblivion. Hell yeah.
Dude, like, imagine you are invading some backwoods reptiles living in grass huts whose primary trade is the fact that they are slaves to some elves. And then they retreat, and then they come back a week later, and they're different.
And all their names have changed to Chad.
Yeah,
Chadson, and then they fucking kill you.
they huddled under a tree, grew roided out muscles, and are now coming back for me. And oh my god, I cannot run away fast enough.
Yeah.
And like honestly, I can imagine like being so into the lore and stuff, being able to play through kind of an event, would be interesting to do as well. I assume you're not going to have your characters go through any kind of like major event that would be recognizable.
I do have plans for one thing, but that would be spoilers.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, exactly. If you have them play through like something cool and they're into it, then yeah, that makes sense. Doing that. I personally, it's weird for me in that kind of thing where if I play through an event that I know about, then it's like I already know it's gonna happen. It could be different, right? Because I'm there, but it's one of those things where I get taken out of it because I know it's a thing that's already there. You know? That's why I wouldn't really want to play Middle Earth 5e, because it's just like, but I mean, does any of this really matter right now?
Yeah, in like the grand
it takes
scheme
me
of
out because
things.
I have so much knowledge of it.
Yeah.
And with the Elder Scrolls, even though I don't have that much knowledge with it, I already have played the games, and I'm like, okay, you know. So,
As someone who knows a lot of Elder Scrolls lore, don't learn a lot of Elder Scrolls lore. It will remain a fantastic setting, so long as you know about 60% of the total information. And then when you read Kirkbride, who takes about 100% and total and makes it to about say a good 230 or so, you just want to scream. Flying
Anyway.
television helicopters, man.
Ooh, that sounds cool.
No, it's not.
But it sounds like Fallout.
Let's finish out this video.
Story with its own races and very specific rules, yet it's all built on the basic structure of the 5th edition system reference document. Still, I wouldn't call over friends to play this saying it's D&D 5e. I'd say, let's play some adventures in Middle-earth. It's kind of its own thing. A player showing up with a tiefling warlock will be sorely disappointed when the lore master rejects their character concept. Again, there's a place for the kitchen sink approach, but I often find myself wanting something a little more specific and kind of reined in. So, D&D 5e, I love you, but sometimes I just need a little...
Yeah, exactly. That's a personal thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We've all said, like, we enjoy our homebrew worlds.
Yeah. And then the other thing is that you can like the kitchen sink approach one day, and then you can also like the gritty realism another day.
Right. Or
you can have your turkey and your ham.
Yep. Absolutely.
So you can have both ways. And honestly, I go back and forth. There are times when I am dying to play Call of Cthulhu, and other times where I can't fucking wait like any longer to run my material plane campaign.
Yeah. It's variety, dude. Variety is spice.
And so there's no...
He who controls the spice controls the world.
Exactly. And so, I mean, there's nothing wrong with 5e in the kitchen sink aspect. You just kind of have to tell your players that, like, hey, there's going to be a bit less. And I know he was talking mostly about like new players being like, you know, like, I want to play whatever's in this book because it's my first time playing. But then again, if you know they're new players, then you know that the whole gritty realism might not appeal to them because they're new players.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, it's a bit of a weird point, but I understand it at least, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice that we have a person here who can actually make a point and it's actually understandable. I feel like we need to get back to some of the people who don't know even how to state a point.
I'm fine with this trend. Well, dude, we had that literally tonight.
It's true.
Well, here's the thing. He made a point, but his point was stupid. This is nowhere near. Well, I mean, yes. He was basically his point was that there's no problem with wizards. That was the point.
No, that's not even the point. The point was that the whole wasn't it the magic? Oh, I've already forgotten it. Was
Right?
Was it the magic system?
Exactly.
It
Yeah,
was-
like either the magic system, like the point was there's no problem with the magic system.
He spent 8.5 minutes saying that wizards were bad for such and such reasons.
And then he immediately
spent
went
a
back on it.
minute-
Yeah.
and then he spent a minute describing how they were fine, and
Yeah.
then spent 30 seconds on an ad.
an
Yeah.
ad,
And
yeah.
so
So.
here's the thing, though. He made a point. RPG Pundit is like a marble. No points.
You're right.
I
you're
want to
right.
get back to RPG Pundit levels
Okay,
of bullshit.
all right, all right.
Or Dungeon
As-
Craft or
you know
whatever.
Be
That
careful
boy is not
what
a marble.
you wish for.
He is a melted
I want to hear about this horrible infringement upon his honor.
Oh god,
I've
no.
watched it. No, you don't.
I don't want to. That doesn't even have
Okay.
to do with what we do.
Fair enough.
We make videos about D&D content, not
Yeah.
D&D content creators.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
Let's see if he has anything else. I don't think he does, but
When are we going to make
Break,
a podcast
okay?
about us?
Sometimes you just drive me crazy. All right, I would love to hear from you down in the
okay,
comments.
yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
I would,
Good video.
I would totally love to do a podcast where we listen to an earlier podcast and shred ourselves.
We could do that,
But that's
later on, yeah.
impossible. We're always right.
No, it's true. We could be less right though.
It's true.
It's fair. You know?
Like we can go and watch like episode, I don't know, like episode 3 or something,
Yeah.
and go through it with a fine-toothed comb
Mhm.
and point out every single point at which we were less right.
Well, that
Mm.
would be probably like an 8-hour podcast because we would be
Yeah,
going
yeah.
over 3 hours of content. But we could probably do it later on.
We could do that for
Ours-
like an April Fool's joke or something.
something.
Ours
later.
is the golden ratio of
Mhm.
content watched versus content that we make about it.
Yeah. We
Um,
take 2 10-minute videos and turn it into fucking 4 hours.
Yeah.
It's great.
So yeah, thank you WASD20.
Good video.
Very good video.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to promote that kind of discussion that we're
Yes.
so craving.
It
God,
is
I need it.
intellectually and creatively honest.
Exactly.
Yes.
He even would say over and over again, I might be wrong, or this is how I feel. You know, like
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's-
Provided
im-
page numbers.
Yes.
That like fucking A+ for that alone.
yes,
Fucking
exactly.
Cite your sources.
I love it. I
And
love
hell,
it every time.
He even fucking filmed the page for the XP budget.
Yeah, no, it's true.
That's
Yeah.
going above and beyond.
To infinity and also out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you so much for this video, WASD 20.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, I mean that's all I had for today.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I feel like we did it. I feel like we did it, boys. That's another one in the bag.
Yep.
This is
Um,
episode what?
this is 14, I think. Let me check.
We haven't been doing this for 14 weeks. There's no way.
No, we have.
Oh,
Yep, this is
we're
14.
definitely above 12.
This is 14.
Jesus Christ.
Last time was 13. Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus.
No, it comes quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Really,
Weird.
it's really strange.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess final thoughts, boyos.
Wizards are fun. Wizards are good. They're not dumb.
Mhm.
And I can say that in 2 seconds, not 8 minutes.
Technically, you
and-
said it in 4 hours.
I said it 4 hours in. And
Well,
healing as is dumb. And you should tweak it a tad bit.
If you want to.
No,
tune in.
you should. No.
Tune in next week for our D&D hit points overrated. Oh wait, you can already check out our discussion of that video.
Good.
Maybe we should get, you know what we should do a video on? I don't know if it's even, like, if there's even any videos about it. Maybe there's videos like how ability scores are dumb or how they should be changed or something.
I'll
Oh,
look
I'm
around.
sure it is.
Yeah.
All you have to do is look up D&D and dumb, and
Yeah, that's true.
It's honestly surprisingly hard to find content that is like not from the ones that we've already covered.
Yeah.
But well, I'll keep shopping. I'll keep doing that good old browse and
I mean, if you can't find it, that's fine.
yeah.
I just feel like that might be a little bit interesting. I'd love to see people's points on that because, like, whenever I think about the ability scores, it's just like I don't really know how you could get many more other than like the ones from like Cthulhu where they add like luck.
I can think of a couple because a friend of mine had some stuff that he's thinking of, but we'll go into that if
exactly.
So yeah, Aiden, got any final thoughts there, boyo?
Honestly, not that I've nothing I've not said already. Read your player's handbook.
Of course.
Establish expectations for how your campaign is going to be. If you're going to use any variant rules, whether those be for spell slots or HP or experience or what have you. If you want to introduce it in the middle of the campaign, that's fine. I might make a table later this week regarding hit point levels and sort of like efficacy in combat.
Right, yeah.
And then take a picture of it and send it to my players and say, hey guys, what do you think about doing this in the campaign? Don't worry, it would also affect enemies as well. And gather their thoughts on that. But yeah, read your player's handbook. Buy Raycon earbuds.
Oh my god, damn it!
And then,
of course, he snuck it in there.
If your system is bad, it's bad.
It's bad.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
Don't do school. Stay in drugs.
Yeah, that's gonna do it for us today, everyone. Thank you for listening. We've been seeing a little more growth, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Don't forget to, if you are on the YouTube channel, please subscribe if you're watching this, and make a little like or a dislike if you like or dislike it. Let us know. It's pretty cool.
Jokes on them. We disabled the dislike.
Right? Yeah, we're totally gonna do that.
You know what? I just realized your whole stay in drugs and don't do school actually works right now because of coronavirus.
Yeah.
So yeah, stay safe out there. It's a bad time.
Damn hands.
Yes, please, goddamn. It's fun to wash your hands. I like washing my hands. I didn't realize how much I liked washing my hands, like, until I thought about it, and I was like, oh man, this is like a good time.
Dude, I literally start every day with washing my hands. It doesn't matter that like I was only sleeping, so I've not gone anywhere to get my hands dirty.
Yeah.
But like it's just part of my morning ritual, and God, it feels good.
Yeah, dude. Remember, you can find this podcast on YouTube first, at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fridays, and then again on all major podcasting services in its audio-only version at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mondays. Don't forget as well that we have a Twitter at TableTalk D&D that is there for you to follow, and it posts when we have things up, and it'll continue to post. And don't forget to comment as well, and leave a nice little thing, and just like a little review if you're on the podcasting services kind of thing, you know. And also don't forget to tell other people about us. It's really really good when word of mouth spreads.
And if you
like
can think
Corona.
of something, if you can think of something interesting about D&D that you want us to talk about, tell us about it.
Yes, please.
Oh hell yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely take requests.
Yes, totally.
There's not actually a joke.
No, not at all. There is also a little voice message feature if you want your question to be aired with your voice associated.
Cool.
I will try to get that and actually put it in. And
perhaps keep it rated PG-13.
We're not PG-13.
What do you fucking mean?
What the fuck do you mean?
Dude, no, because Twitch guidelines.
Oh, true.
Even what? Even people on Twitch fucking swear all the time.
I've been fucking streaming this on Twitch.
Oh.
Well, fuck you.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you again
Best
for
part-
listening.
Oh wait, no, that's right. You can drink on Twitch. Never mind.
Yeah, you can. Thank you so very much for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
Have a good
Bye.
evening. I wish
Bu-
I wish you a good week.
Oh, he's doing it.
Have a see you next time. See you next time.
Bye.
Goodbye. Bye.
I knew I'd get one.